Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the MHA What If, with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Deku Found His True Power. All credits for this video go to their respective authors, so please support the real author. Check out the link in the description for more details. Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. The world of heroes is a fantastical one. This world, everyone is born with a quirk. A special power that with practice can give them the chance to be a hero. Heroes were worshipped. They were put on a pedestal like no other. The best hero in the world was All Might. A hero who always saved the day with a smile on his face. Everyone looked up to him, villains feared him, and kids wanted to become him. One child in particular wanted to grow and be a hero just like him. Izuku Midoriya had wanted to be like his hero. He had watched all of All Might's videos, bought all of his toys, and planned to follow in his footsteps. "Sorry kid, it ain't going to happen," said the doctor, as he was pronounced quirkless. He would never be able to manifest a quirk, no matter what. In a world where quirks were everything, being quirkless was a nightmare Izuku would have to deal with now for the rest of his life. "Come on Izuku, I know what would cheer you up," said Izuku Midoriya, his mother, who was trying her best to cheer up her son. "Come on, let's get you a new toy, or how about ice cream?" Izuku was still too stunned to make a proper response, but in the end he nodded his head. Soon Izuku found himself in a small toy store near Musutafu Park. It was a small shop, but had a wide range of toys. "Izuku, grab whatever toy you want. I need to make a phone call." Izuku mindlessly walked through the aisles, not really looking at any of the toys. He was moving as if he was walking in a dream or a really bad nightmare. He wasn't paying attention to any of his surroundings or anyone. Izuku didn't even notice the old man he walked into. Izuku fell backwards, but didn't hit the ground as the old man caught him. "Wow, you okay there, little man?" asked the old man, though the man could clearly see that the boy was not all right. "Hey there dog, what's wrong?" "Nothing, sir," said Izuku, politely bowing at the man. When he did, he noticed that the man had dropped something. "Oh, you dropped this." Izuku handed the toy to the man. "Oh, thanks dog. I was trying to find something similar to give to my grandson." Though when the old man looked, Izuku was already walking away. He could tell Izuku wasn't trying to be rude, but was just too depressed. "Kid." The old man wanted to help, but it wasn't his place to. Though when he looked back at his hand, things changed. "It's glowing. It's chosen that boy." Izuku was so lost in thought that he left the store without telling his mother and just walked across the street into the park. The park was practically abandoned. There were very few people around. Izuku found a bench near the rock gardens and sat down alone. He wanted to cry, but a part of him just couldn't believe that everything he wanted was now impossible. As the tears were about to pour, he heard footsteps approach him. He looked to see the old man walking towards him. "Hey there, my dude. You mind if I pop a squat here?" Izuku said nothing, so the old man sat down next to him. "So mind telling me why you're so blue?" Izuku simply said, "Quirkless." The old man then nodded at that. "Ah, that would do it. All you youngins love your quirks, don't ya? I don't have a quirk myself, but I do have something. I'll be honest, I ain't one to beat around the bush, but I may have something that can fix your problems." The old man then put something in Izuku's hands. "If it likes you, you can keep it." Izuku just stared at the old man for a moment before looking at his hand. It was a toy made of plastic and metal. "A top. Not just any top, my dude," said the old man, attaching the top to a device. "A Beyblade. Come on, how about you give it a whirl?" Izuku was still in a daze and simply did as he was asked. Without really thinking about it, he pulled on the rip cord, causing the top to spin and launch off of the launcher. To Izuku's surprise, it kept spinning on the dirt. For a moment he kept his eyes on the top. For a moment he imagined the top spinning in circles if it was on pavement. Then to his surprise again, the top began to spin in a circle. Wah! He then imagined it staying in one place, and it did. He imagined it going left. It did. Then right. It was mimicking each thought Izuku was making. He could feel a connection with it. Now Izuku's mind was racing at what exactly he was looking at. The old man could see Izuku was connecting the dots. "Hey dog, try aiming it at that rock over there," said the old man, pointing at the large rock in the garden. Izuku then imagined it. The top sped up really fast and slammed into the rock at full force, shattering the rock into pieces. "What? Ha 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 ha. That was pretty awesome, my dude," said the old man. "Is this some kind of weapon?" asked Izuku, worried now that he may be breaking the law. "I told you, kid, it's a Beyblade," said the old man. "And it's yours now." Izuku then stopped the Beyblade, making it slow down enough for him to grab it. To his surprise, it was completely unscathed. It clearly wasn't made of high-grade materials, and yet it stood up to high speeds and hitting a rock. What is this, exactly? A Beyblade is your partner, said the old man examining the bay in Izuku's hand. It helps you through thick and thin. It gets stronger the more you get stronger. With it, you can perform feats that would be impossible. The possibilities with a Beyblade are endless. Izuku stared down at the top, getting a new hope that he was losing. I got so many questions, but first, who are you? The old man blinked, realizing he hadn't introduced himself. Sorry about that, my dude. Guess I got carried away there. The name's Tyson. Tyson Granger at your service. Hi, Mr. Granger. I'm Izuku Midoriya, said Izuku. My next question is, why are you giving this to me? We just met. Easy, that Bay likes you. You think those are regular toys? Nah man. Those be ultra stuff right there. Bay's pick, you spin them, not the other way around. When you handed back to me, it liked ya. So I introduced ya. Simple as that. Wait, this is alive. Now Izuku was getting a little skeptical now. How? Tyson grinned. That's for you to find out, my dude. Though Tyson saw Izuku giving him a confusing look. Don't worry, dog, I won't leave you hanging. As he fished through his pocket. Here is my business card for the Granger Dojo. Believe or not, I teach Kendo like my grandfather before me. Izuku held the card for a moment as he now got a look at the old man, who he could now see was wearing an Hawaiian shirt and wasn't exactly looking like a Kendo teacher. Okay, I have a few other people teach, but the art of the blade does flow through my veins. Right, said Izuku, not really believing the funny man. Anyway, if you got any questions, you can call or come by the dojo. But how about we go find your mom? Said Tyson. Mom, said Izuku, now realizing he left his mom back at the store. The two ran back to a panicking Inko. Tilda oh tilde. 1 week later. Tyson was just enjoying some tea while he watched the sunset. It was nice and relaxing. Only if it would last. The door to the dojo slammed open. You gave it to a child. Tyson sighed. I don't remember saying you can come in here. The young man didn't care. He stomped towards Tyson. Have you gone senile? You just gave away one of the most powerful Beyblades that ever existed. It's not some toy. It could change the world, and you gave it to a snot-nosed brat. Tyson put his tea down. As the power of the dragon filled the room. 1. Never talks to me that way, boy. 2. Izuku Midoriya is more than a snot-nosed brat. If you would speak to him and see him spin his bay, you could tell he is a lot more and worthy of that bay. For a moment, the young man didn't say anything. Midoriya. That's the kiddo's name. Midoriya, he said now, remembering something as if it was long forgotten. Wait, do you? Tyson then realized he was already gone. I see. Then maybe it was destiny that led you to that bay, Izuku. Tilda oh tilde. Izuku has been spending all of his time studying and figuring out his new Beyblade. He has discovered so much, and the more he learned, the more he could feel something inside the Beyblade. He was beginning to understand what Tyson was saying, that there was something living inside the bay. Though the biggest thing that he discovered was all that he could do with it. He was successful kicking trash can around with it, and if he focused really hard, he was able to make a large dust devil. He was excited because he could tell he was scratching the surface. If I work hard, I wonder what else I will be able to do. So I gotta keep practicing. Izuku launched his Beyblade, sending it through an obstacle course he made in the alleyway of his apartment building. He was measuring his speed and strength by hitting trash at the end of the alley. But first he had to get through the maze of trash cans. His bay whizzed through the cans and hit the trash bag with enough force to splatter against the wall. Whoa, that had a lot of power. If I can control this, then I can send the bad guys packing, said Izuku, smiling with hope. Who the fuck did that? Yelled a voice at the end of the alley. A man came into view of the alley, revealing a man in a white suit with a pissed-off look. Izuku could see some garbage slime on his shoulder. Were you the one that did this? Izuku began to shake in fear. Even though Izuku found a new power, he was still a 4-year-old kid. Sorry. The man whistled. Boys, we got a little piece of shit to clean out. Soon 4 more men came into the alley. All of them looked mean and were willing to hurt Izuku. Now, brat, do you know how much money this suit cost? Izuku was too scared to say anything. Well, do you? No, sir. Figure a brat like you wouldn't know. Brats don't understand what we adults do. You kids just keep playing hero. Well, let's show you what happens when you try to play hero. The men start to get close to Izuku. Izuku pointed his launcher at the thugs. Stay back. I'm warning you. The 5 of them stopped and stared at Izuku for a moment. They all began to chuckle, trying to hold in their laugh, but soon all 5 of them began to bust out laughing uncontrollably. Ha ha ha, look at this kid. He's so scared, he's going to fight us with a toy. Stop it. I'm going to pee. Ha ha ha. Izuku's face began to turn red with anger. Just a toy, you say? Then take this. Let it rip. Sending the bay flying. I got this, guys, said one of them as he put up a small barrier. The bay collided with the barrier, and for a moment the thugs thought it was going to bounce off. But instead it stayed there, slowly cracking the barrier. Wah! The barrier broke, and the bay hit the thug in the face, laying him flat out on his back. What? Said the remaining thugs. The moment the bay hit the ground, it began dancing around the thugs at high speeds. The thugs tried to follow it, but it was too fast. Then it bounced, hitting a thug in the foot, tripping him. The leader was getting angry. What are you fools doing? It's the one child. But the top thingy. The leader grabbed a pipe from the ground. It's his quirk, you morons. It must be the cause for this thing's movements. If we attack the kid, then this is all over. Izuku began to sweat as they discovered that he himself was weak. Oh indeed, brat, said the leader as he raised the pipe and brought it down directly on top of the Beyblade. Oh no, yelled Izuku. Whoa boss, how did you hit it? See, the boy is controlling it. The moment I told you to aim for him was the same moment this top thing slowed down. He then used the pipe as a golf club, sending the Beyblade past Izuku. Izuku watched in horror as his bay landed motionless on the ground. No. Not gonna lie, brat, that was impressive, said the leader as the two other thugs picked their friends off the ground. Maybe in a few years you might have been able to become something. Though I can tell letting you live now will only be bad for business. Izuku was now shaking. For a moment he thought he could take them out, but now he could see he was nothing more than a scared kid that was way over his head. Please. How are you begging? Please someone help, yelled Izuku, hoping someone would come. The thugs were grinning while Izuku was crying, but as if a miracle from the heavens, red lightning struck right in front of them. Quit your whining, kid. Izuku had to rub his eyes not only from the tears, but also from being blinded by the light. When he could see, he saw a man wearing a black sleeveless shirt, black pants. His hair was white with a red streak in it, and he looked very angry. I don't know who you assholes are, but this kid is with me, so beat it before I beat you. The thugs were frozen for a moment, but it did not last. Well, what are you waiting for? Get him. They all charged the newcomer. Wrong choice. Draco. In another blast of light, Izuku witnessed a red flaming dragon appear and send all of the thugs flying. In a single moment, this man had taken all of them out. Izuku couldn't tell how badly hurt they were, but he could tell that they weren't getting up anytime soon. The man wasted no more with them and turned his attention to Izuku. Your name is Midoriya, right? Yes, sir, said Izuku as he grabbed his Beyblade. Who are you? You don't look like a hero. The man huffed in annoyance. The name's Rugga. We need to talk, brat, and I better not hear any more crying out of you. That night changed Izuku's life forever. It opened his eyes to the world and made him train twice as hard to master his Beyblade. All right, boys, it looks like we're home free, said the driver. You sure, boss? I haven't seen any heroes chasing us, or cop cars at all. How about any of you see anything? Nope. Nothing on this side. See, we're home free, he said as they cheered before suddenly all the tires on the car popped. What the? As the car skidded to a halt. What was that? As he and his men got out of the car. They looked around them, seeing no one on the highway but them. Hey, do you guys hear that? Said one of them as they all tracked the noise to something spinning on the ground. As they went to examine it, it dashed straight at the car, going under it before turning into a tornado, sending the car flying through the air. All of the criminals ducked out of the way from the falling vehicle. The car landed upside down, being completely unusable. It looked like it was thrown off of a cliff. What the hell was that? Yelled one of them before the top spun around all of them really fast before dashing off the road into the bushes. Seriously, anyone see what that was? Sirens then blared as the police closed in on them. Shit, grab the guns and the money quick. They scrambled for the cash to try and make a quick escape. Hold it. Freeze, said an officer getting out of his vehicle, with more police behind him. Shut it, you pig, yelled one of them, pointing his gun at the cop, only to find something wrong with his weapon. My gun is all chewed up. The other criminals all found their guns had been cut by some sort of chainsaw. They all quickly surrendered. A man fired his machine gun into the ceiling. All right, everyone, stay calm, and you all get to go home today, said an armed robber as he and his gang were robbing a grocery store. Now get to the ground, and unless we tell you personally, stay there. We're going to go one by one. to get any valuables you may have. If you don't hand them over, we will have a problem, and trust me, you don't want that. Everyone complied, and soon all the robbers had begun to strip everyone of their valuables. Things were going smoothly, no problems, and so far no heroes or police. Looks like those new toys we bought really do jam emergency signals. Finally, a nice, easy operation. Suddenly something broke through the window, moving so fast no one could make out what it was. It bounced through the aisle, hitting every gunman. The gunman wasn't fast enough as the object hit their guns, disabling them, and after hitting the guns began hitting the gunman in the head hard enough to knock them off their feet. It slammed them into the aisle racks and hit them hard enough to where they could have sworn to see the stars. The leader quickly grabbed a hostage. I don't know what you are, but you better think twice, or this lady here is going to get it. Please, I have a son, pleaded Inko as she cried in fear with a gun to her head. The object stopped in front of the man. It's a top. For a moment, though, he thought he saw the eyes of a demon from the toy, before it disappeared. It then hit him so hard, he flew out of the building with every bone in his body broken, but miraculously still alive. Tilda oh tilde. Maruko was finally having an eventful day. You dumbass ain't getting away that easily. As she began to speed up her hops after the white van. God damn it, bunny bitch is after us, said the one in the back. Relax man, we have a hostage, said the man in the passenger seat as he turned to the girl who was tied up. I've done this a few times, so don't sweat, rookie. If she comes near us, we'll simply put a bullet into this girl's leg. Say what's your name, sweetheart. He ripped the tape off of the girl's mouth. When my dad gets here, he's going to kick your ass. The man smirked. That's quite the mouth you got. But tell me something, why the hell do you think we grabbed you? Huh? It's because your daddy is making life very hard for a few friends of ours. Which isn't very nice of him. But as you can see, I'm trying to be very nice here, so how about you tell us your name, sweetie, before I become very unnecessary. Is unnecessary even a word? Asked the driver. Can it? Keep your eyes on the road, and make sure we don't hit anybody, said the man. Well, sweetie? The girl glared at the man hard, but couldn't deny some part of her was scared. She gave in. Itsuka Kendo. Hey, she's getting closer, said the guy in the back, seeing Maruko gaining on them. Oh, for the love of, said the man as he leaned back and grabbed Kendo. I need to ask for less green help next time. He opened the back window and pointed his gun at Kendo's head, making a clear sign if Maruko tried anything then Kendo would get hurt. Maruko didn't like it, but backed off a little. The man smiled. See, rookie, it's that simple. As Kendo was facing the window, she saw something chasing them. The top. The man looked back outside, seeing the infamous toy top gaining on them quick. Shit, that thing's here. The man was now somewhat concerned as he didn't know where the person controlling it was. He didn't know if he would even hear him. Hey, back off if you don't want this girl hurt. You're going to move that ass of a top away from here. The top then disappeared out of sight. The man smiled for a moment, thinking he had done it. Boss, it's up front now, said the driver. The top was now in front of them. The top began to glow green as the ground around it began to turn into sand. Soon the whole road was a giant sand pit. The driver tried to slow the van down, but when it hit the sand pit it began to sink as if it was in water. Maruko landed in front of the sand pit only to watch the last part of the sand pit sink underground. Shit, what happened? Maruko waited for a moment to see if anything was coming out. For a moment she thought they all just bit the dust, when suddenly the men were sent flying out of the sand, landing right in front of her. Okay, I did not see that coming. Wait, where's the hostage? Kendo slowly opened her eyes to see someone was carrying her. She remembered hitting the sand, and then someone grabbing her and pulling her from the sand. It was the same person carrying her now. The person then gently put her down on a nearby bench. The last thing Kendo remembered seeing the back of a green hoodie, and the top landing in their person's hand as he walked away. Tilda oh tilde. The water hose duo were having a terrible day. They managed to run into the nastiest criminal they have ever seen in their hero careers. The man had already killed over 30 people that day, and he was thirsty for more blood and guts. Their guts, to be more precise. They had managed, though, to lead the man to an abandoned train yard. Oh, come on, is that all you two can do? Said the villain Muscular. That intern I killed had more bite than you two. Come on, show me something. There's no one else here. So go all out. Don't hold anything back. The water hose duo couldn't help but feel that this was their end. Mizu, I'm going to distract him. When I do run, I am not leaving you, said Mizu. You're my husband, and I am not going to leave you here to die. He already broke one of my legs, and we can't make Kota an orphan, he said. So please run. Muscular just looked at them in disappointment. Really, Uwooks? I thought you two could be something. Oh well. If it makes you feel any better, I'll still kill you if you run. As he jumped at them, he wrapped his fist in his muscle fibers, ready for the kill. Time to die. A flash of light cut between them, cutting Muscular's arm fibers. What was that? They all looked over to see a top spinning on top of a train car. It's the top. Muscular now was pissed. Are you kidding me? I would love another hero to kill, but I get the fucking vigilante that's too much of a coward to even show his face. This is bullshit. At least come out and fight me like a man. No response came. Fine, I'll just break your toy then. The top then moved again. This time it cut Muscular's leg. The villain tried to catch it, but it was too fast. It then cut his shoulder. Then his chest, back, continued to cut Muscular with each strike, and began to pick up more and more speed to where it was moving too fast for anyone to see it. It was as if an invisible swordsman was cutting Muscular. This is horse shit. He yelled as he now realized he was losing. This thing keeps cutting my fibers faster than I can make them. At this rate, I'll pass out from blood loss. Muscular now reached a new peak of anger. No, I ain't losing to some toy. As he wrapped his fist with fiber and swung his arm in an upcut. Whether it be by luck or skill, he was able to hit the top and send it flying into the sky. Yee-ah! Screamed Muscular in victory. See that no way some fancy toy would beat me. Now where was I? As he remembered the water hose duo in front of him, he grinned as he began to approach them, though he noticed that they weren't paying attention to him. He then looked up behind him, seeing a blue light coming down from the sky, like a meteorite entering the atmosphere. No way. Muscular then covered his body with as many fibers as possible. The top landed on Muscular in a blue ball of fire with so much force that the dust all around the area kicked up, and for a moment the water hose duo thought a bomb went off. When the dust settled, they could see a massive new crater in the ground with Muscular laying motionless in the center, with the top spinning on his chest. The top then jumped off of him and dashed away. The water hose duo could only watch as the top disappeared into the night. Hey, I don't know who you are, but thank you for saving us. You think he heard you? Asked Mizu. I don't know, but I owe them big time. They just saved us and took down the villain. Mizu thought how close they both were to death, and how close Kota was to becoming an orphan. Hopefully someday we can return the favor. Tilda. Okay, said Naomasa, who along with several police officers were in a meeting. We still have no idea what this top thing is. As behind him a picture of the top was shown in super slow-mo. This thing has been doing our job for nearly 10 years now, and we still have no idea what it is, who is controlling it, or even how it works. This is troubling, said Detective Tanuma. Nearly 10 years and still nothing. Not even sure what quirk it takes to make this thing work. Well, maybe it's more than one quirk, said Officer Sansa. It does have a variety of powers. The chief of police, Kenji Tsuragami, scratched his dog chin. Let's just go over those powers one more time, shall we? Maybe that will help us out. Unlikely, said Tenma. Naomasa ignored that and continued. Well, even though it appears to be a spinning top, it is capable of doing a lot more than that. We can confirm that it is able to move faster than the average eye can see, and is able to cut steel with ease. Other powers include fire, making water appear, earthquakes, turning the ground into sand, making tornadoes, electrical storms. We think it can also mess with gravity, and part the sea. As the projection showing the top saving people from a sinking ship by parting the sea all the way to the coast. We sure this thing ain't a god, said Tenema. Let's keep the ideas on the ground with reality. What it is in the end matters very little, said the chief. Whoever has been controlling this thing has been making it do acts of vigilantism. That is against the law. We must find this person and arrest them no matter what. Even though he or she has been helping others, we can't ignore the fact that the law is being broken. As police officers, we must fix this. A middle school boy was on his way to school when he saw that there was a crowd blocking his path. Can you believe it? That guy just went full villain like that, said a man. Right out in the open too. Aw man, I'm going to be late for work, said another. Hey, where are the heroes? Asked one girl. Suddenly, the giant villain on the railroad tracks began to break the power lines, causing the top part to break off and fall near the crowd. Then a hero named Death Arms came and caught the wreckages so it wouldn't do any more damage. Stand back, citizens, let us handle this, said the hero backdraft as he made a water fence to cut off the civilians from getting close to the heroes. Several wooden branches seemed to wrap around the villain. Ada, it's Kamui Woods, cheered the fangirls. Disrupting traffic and causing civil unrest, yelled the hero. You are the definition of evil. Prepare for justice. Kamui Woods prepared his signature move, but he was too slow as the Beyblade came crashing down on the villain's head, knocking him out and causing him to Lady to fly right past the villain. Empty. Lady stood up confused. Wait, what happened? The top, as Kamui Woods tried to catch it, but missed. As it went under him and hopped off the railroad tracks and out of sight from everyone else. The middle school boy from early was now walking through an alley when his Beyblade came and hopped into his hand. This boy was 14-year-old Izuku Midoriya on his way to school. Most people would say that Izuku was a troubled kid, though many would chalk it up to him being quirkless. He was quiet and barely spoke to any of his classmates. In fact, there would be some days where he wouldn't show up to class at all. Though he managed to keep good grades in all of his classes, except P. He never even showed up for P. Many knew the fate of a quirkless person wasn't kind, and even his teachers gave up on any future for him. They all saw him as a zombie moving through everyday life, which is exactly what he wanted them to think. He went to class today though, wearing a school uniform that was slightly bigger than normal, so no one would suspect anything. He sat in his chair while reviewing his notes about his project. Just in case he did make it in a strange code, so no one but him could read them, or at least no one who didn't understand the constellations. All right class, right now I'm supposed to be handing out career path papers, said the teacher while holding a stack of papers, before throwing them in the air. But why bother when you all want to go into the hero course? As the entire class erupted using their quirks. Yes, I know you all have amazing quirks, but don't use them during class. Understand? Don't lump with these losers, said a blonde spiky hair boy named Bakugo. Out of everyone here I have the top scores. Maybe one of these extras may become a sidekick to a third-rate hero, but I'll be the #1 hero, you hear? Oh, shut up, Bakugo. Yeah, just because you have a good quirk doesn't mean you're better than us. Yes, I am, he said as he jumped onto his desk. That's why I'm going to UA High. That silences the class for a moment. UA, that's the top school in the country. Yeah, they have a super low acceptance rate. Teach, is that true? The teacher grabbed his clipboard. Yep, Bakugo has only written one school he wants to go to is UA. Him and? As he looked at his board, he noticed another name was signed up to try and go to UA. Midoriya. The class was stunned silent for a moment. The silence actually made Izuku look up from his notes. He looked around to see that everyone was slowly looking at him. Who's he? I forgot what's his quirk. I don't know. If I remember right, he doesn't have one. What? Yeah, he's the quirkless kid. What the hell are you thinking? Asked Bakugo as he put one foot on the back of his desk to stand over Izuku. Izuku was shocked for a moment. Not out of fear, but on the sheer fact that Bakugo spoke to him. He hasn't spoken to him since the beginning of middle school. It's been well over a year since they said a word to each other. Izuku raised an eyebrow. How is me going to UA have anything to do with you? Have you forgotten Deku? I'm the future #1 hero. Exclaimed Bakugo for the 100th time. I'm the only one who's going to UA here. Understand? You can see the future, cool? Said Izuku calmly, completely unfazed by Bakugo's threats. Give me the next lotto numbers. Bakugo was now pissed and was about to slam his fist on Izuku's table. Though to Izuku this was all going in slow motion. His reaction time was leagues better than the hotheads. Izuku kicked his leg out, hitting the chair Bakugo was on, causing him to fall and hit his head on the desk. Everyone in the class heard the slam of Bakugo's head on the desk. To Izuku's surprise, Bakugo didn't scream in pain or even say ouch. He just began to growl before grabbing Izuku's table leg with his left hand. Izuku saw what was coming and quickly grabbed his notebook and closed it before Bakugo tossed aside the desk to throw an explosive right at Izuku. Izuku then, using his notebook, caught Izuku's attacking arm before putting a Sharpie to Bakugo's neck. The class was frozen in time as they saw the quirkless kid of class put a marker to the #1 kid's throat. Bakugo broke out of his stunned state and jumped backwards. How the hell? You won't do that again. Izuku didn't react at all and just grabbed his bag and put his things away. If that's all, teach, then I'm heading home. Bakugo was now ready for a full-blown fight. Hey, where are you going? Get back here. I have something to tell you, Bakugo, said Izuku without turning around. Bakugo was silent as he waited for some declaration for a fight or him saying he was going to outdo him. Before you leave school, you should probably wash your face. Huh? Bakugo was confused as he watched Izuku leave. What? Dude, your face, said a classmate trying not to laugh. Here, said a girl handing him a mirror. When Bakugo looked at it, he saw what Izuku did. He gave him cat whiskers. Bakugo stared at his reflection as rage began to build up inside him. His rage stopped for a moment as he also saw a solid black line across his throat. It was a sign that if Izuku had a real knife, he would have killed him. after realizing that his rage came back, and he broke the mirror in his bare hands. My mirror. Tilde oh tilde. Izuku walked back to his house to get changed, and to begin another one of his walks, which usually consisted of him going to some tall landmark and looking for crime he could launch his bay at. He changed out of his uniform and into his hoodie as he hid his bay and his launcher inside his hoodie so no one could see it. Then grabbed his fingerless gloves and double-checked his gear in bay. Before he left, he saw that his mom left a note and was going shopping. Let's hope she doesn't get into trouble again. Izuku has been wandering around Musutafu, looking for some action, but found it really boring. Man, I guess I should have just used this day for training. Nothing's happening here. Deku, screamed Bakugo. Izuku looked over to see him and his posse approaching him. I finally found you. Bakugo, you were able to clean your face, that's good, said Izuku with not a care in the world. Maybe I can use him for practice. Nah, I should just go and see if old man Tyson is willing to spar. You're going to pay for what you did to me, you quirkless asshole, said Bakugo as his cronies had Izuku surrounded. Though none of them moved, not just because of what he did in class, but also because they could see plain as day that there was no fear in his eyes. Only boredom. Maybe I should ask Merci about those part ideas I had. Though I should deal with this first. Izuku yawned, which just pissed Bakugo off even more. Look man, I don't care about your ego, so I'm just going to go. Oh hell no, sighed Bakugo as he went off on one of his rants. But Izuku ignored it as the police became active in the area. Izuku saw several police and heroes arrive in the area. They weren't stopping anyone, and it looked like they were looking for something, though it was clear that it wasn't him. Pay attention when your betters are talking. Hey Bakugo, maybe we should leave it for now. Heroes are watching, said one of his lackeys, which received a glare from him. Though Bakugo quickly realized that he was right as the place became filled with heroes for some reason. Even so, his anger and pride wouldn't let him leave. He needed to send a message to Deku. He grabbed Izuku's collar. We ain't finished yet. Izuku could feel something was wrong here. His instincts were going off on full blasts. An attack was coming. He turned his head, ignoring Bakugo, looking left and right, but couldn't see anything, nor from above. That's when he realized too late. Below. The ground below the group of kids, erupted by a giant mass of green slime, blew open the street, capturing Izuku, Bakugo, and all of his minions. Nobody move or else these kids get it, said the giant sludge villain. Tilde oh tilde. All Might in his skinny form finally made his way to the crime scene to see several heroes surrounding the giant sludge villain, none of them able to make a move as he now had hostages. How the hell could I fail this badly? He said as he saw that the villain was using one of the students' blasts to keep the other heroes away. He also saw that in the mass of sludge, there were other boys, some conscious and a few that were unconscious. Damn it, I'm pathetic. I have no time left. If only I caught him before he slipped away in the sewers. Though inside the sludge, something was happening. Izuku was waking up. For a moment he was wondering why he was stuck in some sort of sludge, before he remembered that the ground busted open, and one of the rocks hit him in the head, knocking him out. No way am I going out like this. As he could feel himself running out of air, he began to use all of his strength to push himself to the outer edge of the blob he was stuck in. Come on, almost there. Izuku pushed his head out of the villain's membrane and took a massive breath of air. When he did, the villain noticed and tried to push him back in. Hey, all hostages, stay inside me. The sludge stopped when he felt a chill run through him. Izuku was glaring at him, which made him truly feel fear. Go to hell. As Izuku was able to rip his arm free and was able to throw something on the ground. In slow motion, the villain saw what he threw and couldn't believe his eyes. That's the top. The second the Beyblade hit the ground, it began to spin fast. Tanku, Leon-style Lion Gale Force Wall, a symbol of a tanuki, glowed for a moment. The bay spun so fast it generated a massive tornado, sending the slime and all of his hostages flying in the air. Izuku cancelled the tornado before the hostages got too high to survive. Izuku was able to land on his feet as the others just landed around him. He looked to make sure everyone got out. You're going to pay for this. The sludge villain reformed himself. You're the top. You're the guy who's been using that top thing. He was in shock, and so was everyone else who was watching. One, it called a Beyblade, and two, let me show what it can really do, said Izuku as his bay landed in front of him. Tanku, Walborg style. The tanuki symbol glowed for a moment before the air around it became chilly. Ha. Nova Rog ice shards then appeared around Izuku as his Beyblade sent a wave of ice at the sludge villain. The sludge villain tried to get away, but the ice was too fast and froze him solid, turning him into a giant sludgesicle. Izuku Bay flew back to him. That will teach you. As he caught it. Though as he did he remembered something. He slowly turned and saw the crowd of people, heroes. Police were all watching him, including reporters and cameramen. Ah crap. For nearly 10 years, Japan has had an interesting question, one that haunted a few. For years everyone has seen the top spin around and save the day. A top with powers and abilities that were impossible to explain. This top shows up out of nowhere and saves the day, and then disappears without a trace. No one knew who controlled it or why it does what it does. This top has changed so many lives, from the police, heroes that had to deal with its aftermath, the civilians it saved, the truth scientists try to uncover, and most of all the villains that it stopped. And at the moment, all of these people were glued to their TVs as they heard the news. The top has been identified. Tilde. Guys, get in here right now, screamed Ragdoll. Soon the rest of the wild Pussycats and the water hose duo and their son rushed into the living room of the Pussycats rescue cabin. Quick, take a look at the TV. What's wrong? Did the TV special get cancelled? Asked Pixie Bob. Soon all of them were watching the news, and the water hose duo both dropped their jaws as they saw the news. The only one slightly confused was their son Kota. Mom, Dad, what's going on? His parents looked at each other for a moment. Neither of them told him how close they were to death a few months ago. That boy on TV is the one that saved us. We have to do something to help him out, said Mr. Izumi as he grabbed his phone. He saved our butts. He doesn't deserve to be locked up in some prison. Mrs. Izumi put a hand on her husband's shoulder. I completely agree, but what can we do? I don't think you guys have to do much, said Mandalay as they all saw the TV. Tilde. That's the boy that saved me, said Momo, staring at the TV screen in the back of her limo. She remembered when she almost died 7 years ago. Her family's mansion was attacked by a group of villains, and it ended with a mansion on fire with her stuck inside. She tried to escape, but she had inhaled too much smoke and was losing consciousness. Before she did, she saw the roof was collapsing, and it was falling towards her before she heard someone yell Tiger Claw. The collapsing roof was then torn apart by something fast, and the next thing she knew, someone was carrying her out of the burning building. She later learned that her parents were saved by the vigilante that fights with a top. He was her reason to try and become a hero. To meet him someday? He's my age. As she stared at his photo on the screen. Tilde. All of the teachers at UA were stunned as they looked at the TV. They were originally in a meeting until all of their phones blew up telling them that the top has been identified. Hey Aizawa, you were asked to hunt down the top, right? Asked Mike. Did you ever see him? Is he really a kid? Aizawa was silent for a moment. I was asked to look into the top case 6 years ago, and we could never figure out who was controlling the thing. My quirk couldn't do anything to it, and it was too fast to catch. Power Loader scratched his chin. Well, who would have guessed a kid was controlling the thing? I wonder if they'll let me take a look at the top. Nezu began to clap. Everyone, as interesting as this is, we need to get back to the meeting. Tilde. The heroes weren't the only ones watching the news. Stain sat in his hideout in a trance as he watched the news. He slowly brought his hand up to his cheek as he ran a finger over the long scar on the side of his face. The scar Izuku gave him 4 years ago, back when he went by Steindal, when he was hunting down Yakuza members. Well, this makes things interesting. You better sharpen that top of yours, cause I'm ready for a rematch. Tilde. Koichi and Kazuho, along with the others in the Vigilante gang, were watching the TV. This doesn't look good for Izuku. Well, shouldn't we do something? Asked Kazuho. Nah, said Soga. He's always been able to get himself out of tight situations. He'll get himself out of this, so relax. Though clearly on all their faces they didn't calm down at all. Look, if you're that worried, just call that number he gave you. Koichi flinched at that. Kazuho, on the other hand, thought that would be a good idea. Yeah, we can call that one guy. Izuku said we could call him in case of an emergency. Koichi began to scratch his cheek. Well, Izuku said to call him in a life or death emergency. I don't think Kai would take this that well. Koichi then began imagining him facing Kai again. He might actually hurt me this time. That guy is scary. Don't bother, said Knuckleduster as he walked into the warehouse. I just got done talking to Granger. He said everything is under control. We just have to wait and see. Tilde. Overhaul watched the news with some interest. He hadn't personally run into the top himself, but he has heard stories and the abilities of the top. The abilities are what interested him the most. Chrono, he said, getting the attention of his right-hand man. Once things calm down a little, try and procure the files on that boy. There might be something interesting there. Tilde. Rikiya Yatsubashi, or Redistro, was grinning from ear to ear as he looked at his television in his office. He ended his office meeting early to watch this, and it couldn't give him more joy. He pressed a button on his desk. Miyashita, cancel my meetings today. Something unexpected has just occurred, and if any of the investors ask, this could be big. Yes, sir, said his secretary over the intercom. Redistro then pulled out his phone and began to make a phone call. Curious. Please tell me you're going to report on the boy. The vigilante that was just revealed, said Chitos Kazuki. Who do you think I am? Of course I'm on this one. This is the biggest thing to happen in all of Japan. The only thing that could possibly top this would be in another world war started right now. Though I'm guessing if you're calling me that means you like this boy. Redistro couldn't help but chuckle. It's clear this boy has been using his quirk for a long time. Probably since he got it. You could say he's been liberated for years. Curious knew where he was going. Don't worry, I'm going to get an interview with him, even if it kills me. Tilda oh tilde. Shigaraki was glued to his TV, as it showed the footage of Izuku freezing the Sludge villain. He was studying the kid, analyzing each of his moves. Other than that bay of his, he clearly has some physical skill as well. Sensei, he said, calling out to his mentor. Yes, Tamira, I've heard of the boy as well. In your opinion, what do you think? He's skilled. Clearly he's been practicing for years. Though I can't tell what foundation he has. This footage isn't enough to go on. Has he gone through the arrangement? To be honest, I don't know, said his sensei, surprising him. Our records are a bit scattered 10 years ago. His bay aside, his name is Midoriya. Midoriya. Tamira hummed as he recognized that name. Well, this could be a problem. Indeed, I believe now is the time for you to get your arrangement done. Yes, sensei. Tilda oh tilde. The police chief Kenji was able to get his car into the Mustafa precinct. When he got there, he was greeted by fellow officers. Tell me we have him in custody. As he entered the building. Yes, sir, said the officer. He came quietly with us and gave little to no trouble. He's cooperating, good. They made their way into the back of the building. Then do you have the top in lockdown? The officer was nervous for a moment. No, sir. What? He wouldn't let go of it, sir. Even Death Arms tried to pry his hand open, but he wouldn't budge. Though the boy did say he would cooperate, but he would die before handing over his Beyblade. That's what he calls the top. We were however able to secure the device he was using to launch it. Beyblade, huh? The chief of police didn't like the idea that the vigilante has access to his weapon. Did he say anything else? Yes, sir. He made a request that he speak with All Might. He wants to speak to All Might. Yes, but he never gave a reason why. The police chief was silent as they went into the monitoring room, where he saw other officers watching the boy through not only monitors, but a one-way glass. Inside the room were several detectives and heroes that were there on the scene when Izuku was brought in. On the other side of the glass he could see Izuku Midoriya cuffed and chained to the interrogation desk. Ah, Chief, you made it, said Detective Naomasa. So this is the vigilante who has been active for 10 years. As he looked close at the boy. He's still a child. Do we have any information on him? Naomasa took a deep breath before reading off the information. His name is Izuku Midoriya, age 14. 14. You mean to tell me this boy has been a vigilante since he got his quirk? No, said Naomasa a bit quietly as he held a folder. He's quirkless. What? That can't be right, said Death Arms. There's no way that kid is quirkless. He was able to stop me from prying that thing from his hands, and unless he has a strength or grip quirk, I could have gotten it. He's right, said Kamui Wood. I tried to use my branches to take it, and he wouldn't let go. I would have used more force, but I was afraid I would hurt him. That's what his records say on his birth certificate, his elementary school and middle school records. He has shown no sign of a quirk factory at any of his doctor visits. Even his own mother, who I just got off the phone with just before you arrived, sir, she said that he doesn't have a quirk at all. Also, I sent a few officers to go pick her up. She should be here shortly. The chief looked at the boy, who was sitting in the chair looking at his Beyblade. Has anyone gone in and talked to the boy? Yep, said Detective Tanuma. We've had quite a few officers go in there and try talking to him. He hasn't given us anything, other than basic information like his name and birthday. The only things he's asked for is some food and to speak with All Might. Why All Might? Has he given any hints or reasons to speak with him? Everyone in the room either shook their heads or said no. Maybe for publicity, said MT, lady. I mean, let's be honest here, the kid's kind of a big deal. He's going to have like 1 million or so interviews when this is over. Maybe he thinks talking to All Might help him somehow. Kamui Woods didn't believe this. You think he did this for publicity? He's been doing this for years. And you think it was to become popular? Hey, I don't hear you coming up with ideas. She shot back. Both of you stop. We need to be professional here, said Death Arms. The chief thought for a moment. The boy is clearly acting logical. I think it would be wise to hit him with the facts first, and when he sees that his options are limited, he should hopefully cooperate and tell us what we would like to know. Naomasa scratched his head. Okay, so how should we proceed, sir? Tilda oh tilde. Izuku was calmly waiting for the police to do what they do before they finally cave and brought him All Might. In fact, if it wasn't for the cuffs, he would have rather enjoyed the peace and quiet. Though it didn't last long. As the police chief. Hello? Allah, screamed Izuku, startling everyone. For a moment there was silence as Izuku stared at the chief. Oh, you're not Hokuto. The chief of police quickly regained himself. No, I'm not. My name is Kenji Tsurigami. I'm the chief of police, and I've come to have a word with you. You wouldn't have a relative named Hokuto, do you? No, I don't. To be honest, I'm a little surprised. With my dog head, no one has ever mixed me up with another person before. Does this Hokuto person have a similar dog quirk? Yeah, pretty much. Who is this Hokuto person? Izuku was calm now. Can I get some food? I haven't had anything since lunch. Young man, do you have any idea how bad of a situation you're in right now? Seriously, I'll be good with a candy bar right now. You know, just something to hold me over, said Izuku, not answering the questions. The chief of police then snapped his fingers. When he did, several officers came in with several folders labeled top on them. They came and kept staking the folders one after another. These are just the files that are here in this precinct. This is only a fraction of what we have. Do you know what this means? Izuku looked over at the stack of papers. It means that you guys need to go digital. The chief decided to ignore that comment. It means that you've broken the law several times, involving yourself in police investigations, interfering with the work of heroes, and several hundreds more counts of vigilantism. Izuku was silent for a moment, as a look of confusion appeared on his face. Oh, okay, I get it. What I believe you're trying to say is thank you. Thank you? You're welcome. The chief said nothing, and his dog face remained passive. Young man, I know you're in a difficult situation, but please try to take this seriously. Oh, I am, said Izuku, now relaxing a little. I helped you guys out, saved lives. I mean, if you ask nicely, I'll happily take a job for you guys. A small tick mark appeared on the back of the police chief's head, but he remained calm. That isn't being serious. Izuku nodded a bit. Okay, fine, can I ask a serious question then? Go ahead. Why do we call it tuna fish? The room was silent, so was the side room as they heard the question. I mean, tuna is already a fish. We don't say beef mammal or chicken bird, so why do emphasize the fact that tuna is a fish? The police chief sat there and blinked a few times as his brain tried to reboot from the question that came from the depths of space itself. Finally, he came back online and slowly put his hands on the table. Clearly, we aren't going to get anywhere like this. As he stood up. Well, we would get somewhere. If you brought me All Might. The chief stopped for a moment. You want to see All Might that much? Why? Do you believe he will be on your side? No, I need to speak with him. Why? Bring him here. What's it about? How good is your smell? Asked Izuku, clearly trying to change the subject. Can you smell bullshit? Are you always this talkative? Well, for 10 years I've been fighting from a good range, so I never got a chance to talk, and I think I like it. At least tell me why you won't tell us. Easy, I don't trust you, said Izuku as if it was an obvious fact. I don't trust you or anyone else here. You don't trust the police? No, I trust the police. I trust them to protect and serve. I don't trust you, and I definitely don't trust you people with the knowledge I have. Yet you trust All Might. Izuku laughed. No, I don't trust All Might. To be honest, I rather not rely on the guy. But there is one thing about him I trust. His hate. This caused the chief, and all those hearing, to pause for a moment. The chief looked at the boy to see if he could find any hint that he was screwing with him. His hate. Yes, his hate, said Izuku as he simply stared back at the police chief. The police chief kept looking back at Izuku before leaving the room and heading back to the monitoring room. When he entered, he was met with several confused faces looking at him, including all thinking the same question. What does that mean? The police and heroes began to discuss what to do next. The police chief assured the heroes that they were no longer needed here and should go back to the streets and leave the boy to them. Naomasa then got a message on his phone. Chief, his mother is here. Follow me, he said as he left the room. They walked down the hall until they saw a tall, thin woman with green hair seating in one of the waiting chairs, with a few officers talking with her, trying to keep her calm. Inko Midoriya. As she heard her name, she turned to him. I'm Kenji Tsurigami, the chief of police. We have some questions we would like you to answer. Inko nodded. Of course. But please tell me, is my son okay? Don't worry, he's just fine. He came willingly, said the chief, calming her down. I'll cut right to the chase, ma'am. Did you know what your son was doing? Inko shook her head. No, he's always been quiet. I had no idea what he'd been up to. I just thought he found a new sport or dojo to hang out at. Hold it, what do you mean by sports and dojos? A few years ago, I was held hostage at gunpoint when I was out grocery shopping. Afterwards, me and Izuku began to take self-defense classes and began to work out. It helped to get us both in shape, and I thought it helped get his mind off of the things that were happening at school. And what might that be? The bullying, exclaimed Inko. My son is quirkless. All throughout elementary school, he was constantly teased and bullied for not having a quirk. He always brushed it off, but I could tell something was wrong, and I thought that getting him out of the house was helping. I never expected him to do something so dangerous. Inko's eyes began to fill with tears. I'm so sorry for my son's actions. Can I please see him? Of course, ma'am, said the chief, as he thought it might be a good idea. Hopefully, if he sees you, we might be able to get something out of him. The chief led Inko to the interrogation room where Izuku was. Izuku, yelled Inko as she hugged her son. Izuku tried to return the hug as he could with his hands still chained to the table. Are you all right? You're not hurt, are you? Izuku smiled. No, Mom, I'm fine. Really? Inko then looked her son right in the eye. Izuku, please tell me what's going on. Since when did you have that top, and why are you doing all of this? Izuku's smile faltered for a moment. Mom, I owe you of all people an explanation of what's going on. The police chief and everyone in the monitoring room were on the edge of their seats, as they thought they were about to hear something about his reason or where he got the top. Mom, right now I need you to please do something. I need to speak with All Might, so could you please go outside and tell the reporters all for one and one for all? Naomasa felt a chill go down his spine. He looked to see that while he may know what's going on, his fellow officers were quite confused. All but the police chief. Chief. Get All Might here now. Tilde. Fortunately, All Might was in the building. He was downstairs as Toshinori Yagi, pretending to be working for a hero's agency, just in case they needed to be called, cause right now there was the infamous Vigilante upstairs. Then he got a call from Naomasa saying the kid knew about All for One, and that he requested to speak with him. Toshinori then made a quick bathroom trip before heading upstairs as All Might, the #1 hero. When he made it upstairs, he was greeted by several police officers and Izuku's mother, Inko, who was also greeting him and apologizing at the same time. Don't worry, miss. Your son has helped a lot of people. I'm sure he's a good kid. Right now he just needs a little help. He made sure to reassure her before stepping into the room, where he saw Izuku looking at his bae before looking up and seeing All Might. Hello there, young man. I hear you have something you wanted to tell me. All Might, said Izuku with a smile before for the first time here putting his Beyblade down on the table. They made me wait quite a while. Now we can get moving. As he stood up, before anyone realized what he was doing, Izuku quickly whipped his hands so fast that they made a cracking noise. Then his cuffs fell off. All Might then could see that Izuku's thumbs were now wiggling as Izuku dislocated both of his thumbs simultaneously to get the cuffs off. Izuku then slammed both of his thumbs on the table to relocate them again. Okay, let's go. As he grabbed his bae, All Might then realized something else. You could have left whenever you wanted. Yeah, but it would just be easier at this moment to have you come to me, said Izuku as he made his way to the door. When he got to the hallway, he was instantly surrounded by the police. Really? You're not going anywhere, said the police chief. You've broken the law. You can't just do whatever you want, young man. Please, he's just a boy, yelled his mother, who was being held back by a few officers. This caused Izuku to look down at Tanku and think if he should prove these idiots wrong. Though as if reading his mind, All Might acted. Hold it, all of you. Officers, please let Mrs. Midoriya go. The officers looked at the police chief for a moment. Don't worry, you can leave the boy to me. I'll have him back before too long. The chief thought for a moment. Very well, All Might, but we will be tracking your location. Keep an eye on the boy, or we will bring him back ourselves, and you, he said, pointing to Izuku. We know who you are now. You won't be getting away. Izuku gave him a blank look. You might be eating those words. Just make sure my mom stays safe. He then turned to his mom. Sorry, Mom. I promise I will take care of all of this. Izuku, said Inko. Right now, a million thoughts were flying in her head, as she didn't expect any of this to happen at all today. She had no idea what to say to her son. Part of her wondered if she really knew her son now. So she turned to All Might. Please bring him back safely. All Might gave her his trademark smile. Of course, there's no need to fear because I'm on the job. Come on, All Might, said Izuku, now making his way down the hall. That faster we get this done the better. Though as he did, he passed a window giving him a look outside. What the outside was a huge crowd of people, with a majority of them being reporters and news crews, as they waited outside for something. What are all of these people doing here? Hey All Might, you might want to do something about your fans. They look a little restless. The adults stared at the boy for a moment. Detective Tanema stepped up to Izuku. Hey genius, they're here for you. Izuku looked back with a blank face before his eyes went wide. What? Why would they be here for me? You're the vigilante, kid. Well, I know that. I just didn't think this many people would care. You've stopped like 100 criminals and saved a dozen more. How can you take that so lightly? Asked the detective. I was just doing the right thing, that's all. Said Izuku like it was the most obvious thing in the world. It made the adults realize that this kid really wasn't looking for fame. This just caused All Might to give off a hearty laugh. You know, I'm beginning to like you, young man. All Might then could feel his body give way. Come, let us move, or else the press will be all over us. Soon both of them were on the roof as All Might put Izuku on his back as he took to the skies. Tilde oh tilde. All Might landed on a building not too far from the police station. So now that we are alone and away from prying eyes and ears, tell me, what do you know about All for One? As All Might got to his knees to let Izuku off, Izuku didn't move and stayed on his back. Dagobah Beach. Go to Dagobah Beach. That's where I left the evidence. It will be easier for you to understand everything if you see it rather than just hear the words from my mouth. These made All Might curious. Very well, hold on tight. It didn't take All Might long to reach the beach. When he landed, he was met with the stench of the junkyard that had piled up on the beach. Hiding your evidence among garbage. Clever. Izuku jumped off. It's not hidden there, as he began walking to one of the trees in the parking lot of the beach. I wouldn't leave something so important in a bunch of garbage. Someone might find it. As Izuku then, to All Might's surprise, kicked the tree hard enough to break it open, revealing a small box. Well, that was impressive. Nice kick. So you hid it in a tree? Nope. As he opened the box, showing a strange device All Might didn't recognize. It looked like a wrist brace. This is a spare wrist launcher. Since the police took my main launcher, I'll just use this. He then put the launcher on his wrist, and then attached his Beyblade to the bottom of it. Then, with a quick swing of his arm, the device extended, launching the Beyblade into the air over the ocean. Tanku. Grand Seta style. Part the ocean. The Beyblade hit the waster, and for a moment nothing happened until the water began to part, creating a path to a small sunken boat at the bottom of the ocean. Izuku jumped on the boat and lifted a compartment up, revealing a giant trunk that had a high-tech lock on it. Izuku pulled it out of the boat, and it began to beep. 1 second, let me disarm the alarm before the box explodes. It will explode, said All Might, surprised. Izuku pushed a few buttons. Nope, not anymore. As the beeping stopped, and he grabbed one handle of the box. Mind helping me with this? We can look through this up at gazebo on the pier. All Might jumped up and landed on the pier. Izuku then called back Tanku. Izuku then opened the trunk, revealing several papers that were completely dry along with a laptop and a dozen flash drives. Izuku pulled out the computer and plugged one of the flash drives in. He then waited patiently as All Might began to go through the files on the computer. All Might began to be shocked at what he was seeing as he looked through the computer, to the point he completely forgot about his time limit. He was completely focused on the computer as he began opening file after file, video after video, some of which sickened him to his core. Izuku took the time to clean Tanku, and he watched as several police cruisers began to pass the beach. Izuku could tell several heroes were nearby. So were several police officers. Though it mattered little to him, as he knew from All Might's face he could cut a good deal from all of this. All Might then shut the laptop. There is some serious evidence here, young man. I have several questions. For starters, why didn't you go to the police for this, or find me sooner? I tried that once, said Izuku, remembering the first time he was in a war zone. All for One has spies everywhere. When I tried the first time, people came after me. A friend had to pull me out. After that I went deeper. And when I found out how closely my father was tied to all of this, I decided to try and figure it out on my own. Does your mother know about any of this? Izuku was quiet for a moment before shaking his head. How could I tell her? How could I tell her that my father sold his soul to the devil? The same devil that screwed up your body. How could I? Young Midoriya, do you know where your father is now? Izuku took a deep breath. He's most likely dead. For as long as I could remember, he would hardly come home. Only about once or twice a month. That was until about 4 years ago. I haven't seen him since. That's when letters started coming. I put them under a microscope and found out they weren't handwritten. They must have used a good printer to mimic his handwriting. I even recorded his last phone call, which was over 3 years ago, and ran it by Dizzy and Merci. They're AI computer programs, and both say that the audio is fake. Izuku looked off in the distance. I've known for years that he's a bad guy. He helped experiment on people, innocent kids, even myself. And I've come to terms with the fact that his deal with All for One has gotten him killed. Though part of me does want to avenge him for that. I guess you could say that was another reason I didn't want to tell anyone. I wanted to get some payback for my old man. I can understand that one. I lost someone to that man. She was like a mother to me. All Might could only stare at the boy in front of him. All Might could only imagine what this boy had to go through. The pain he's had to keep in. The destiny he tried to deny, to be a hero and not the weapon. Young Midoriya, you have been through a lot, and I've barely scratched the surface of everything you've done and have here. I promise you protection for you and your mother. But I will need to take this evidence in. I know some people who can be trusted with this. Though I have to tell you, you need to tell your mother about this. She deserves to know what has happened to her husband. She needs to know what you've been through. Izuku wanted to argue against it, but he knew it was time to come clean to his mother. He's known for a while he needed to tell her, but he couldn't do it. He tried to tell her, but every time he just froze. Okay, he said quietly as he nodded slowly. Okay, I'll tell her, but I have a few conditions. Of course, said All Might as he began to pack the folders and laptop back into the trunk. We can discuss them when we get back to the police. We have to get them on board or else you might have problems. We don't need to tell them everything, just enough to get them to understand the severity of the situation. Izuku nodded. I'm curious though, what was your original plan anyway? Easy, right before the UA entrance exam. I would somewhat crash UA to get your attention and make a deal with you and Principal Nezu. It's why I specifically asked for you. You're a big name, and with you on my side, I know I can get a better deal than if I just outright gave them the info. You are one terrifying kid, you know that. All Might paused for a moment. Though that plan of yours might be the best solution here. Tilde oh tilde. They quickly returned to the police station with a huge crowd still there. Though a majority of them now were just news crews and people trying to get answers. Answers they would never fully hear. When they arrived, All Might took the police chief aside and gave him a rundown at what happened, and informed him that Izuku did have solid reasons to do what he did. While he did that, Izuku took his mother aside and began the toughest conversation of his life. His mother sat quietly throughout the whole conversation, but he could see the utter horror in her face, especially when Izuku showed her the evidence that his father and her husband were truly gone, and that he wasn't a good person. To say she was in shock would be an absolute understatement. After everyone who needed to know about the situation was caught up to speed, they began to plan for the future. It has been 2 weeks since the biggest revelation of the decade, that the infamous Top, the vigilante that has been breaking hero records, is a 14-year-old kid. A lot has changed since then. For a lot of people this meant something big. To Bakugo this was nothing more than the biggest pain in the ass he has ever felt. He couldn't even imagine anything so enraging than the fact that Deku was the vigilante. For the past 2 weeks he has been hounded by reports asking about Deku, and not him. He was supposed to be the star. He was the one who is going to become the next #1 hero, not Deku. Deku was supposed to be quirkless, so how the hell was he able to do all of this? What the hell is that Top? Okay class, everyone take your seats, said the teacher as he walked into the classroom. You all heard the bell, class has started. Tilde oh tilde. Chido's Kazuki was not a happy reporter. For 2 weeks now she has been trying to find any and all information on Izuku Midoriya, and has found almost nothing. After Izuku was revealed to the world, he and his mother dropped off of the face of the earth. They were clearly under some sort of police protection, and no prison or juvenile detention center has received any new residents. So they haven't put him in jail yet. Inko's job hasn't taken her off of their staff, and their apartment is still under the Midoriya name. Chidos had just walked out of Izuku's school confirming that he's still registered as a student, and has gotten no notice that he has left or transferred schools. She stomped her foot. This makes no sense. Where are they? Her assistant cleared her throat. Ma'am, maybe we should look for a new story in the meantime. We could always just have a freelancer keep an eye at the school. No offense, but when was the last time you did a field report? Chidos had to take a deep breath. It's been a while, she admitted. I just thought when those fools at the station told me they couldn't get anything, that they were just sending amateurs. Though it looks like there really wasn't anything to find. Sigh. Looks like I owe them an apology. Look out below, came a booming voice from above them. They both look up in time to see something crash into the ground, not too far away from them. We are here. Are you insane? I could have walked to school on my own, said another voice. As the dust settled, the two women could make out two figures, a giant and smaller one. Soon they saw All Might and Izuku Midoriya. I can walk on my own. I don't need you being my personal taxi. Now, young Midoriya, you know the deal. From home to school you have to be accompanied by a hero, said All Might. You can't go anywhere else, and no crime fighting, understood? Izuku gave All Might an annoyed look. I don't remember agreeing to an escort. No, but your mom did. Chitos was watching the banter with shock and joy, as if it was a gift from the heavens. Hold that apology. As she quickly grabbed her phone and set it to record audio. Excuse me, my name is Kai. Sorry, got to go, said Izuku as he quickly ran towards the school. Everyone watched, including those in the building, as Izuku jumped over the school fence and ran towards the building, but not to the entrance. Izuku then surprised everyone by jumping up all the way to the third-floor classroom. He landed on the windowsill and then jumped over everyone and landed in his seat. Sorry, Teach, All Might took too long. That's when his class erupted with questions. Why the hell did I agree to this? Outside, All Might was giving a hearty laugh. That boy truly underestimated the impact he had on the people. Excuse me, All Might, if I could please get a small word from you, said Chitos, changing her target. All Might turned to jump away. Sorry, dear citizen, but duty calls. So you're endangering a school. This stopped All Might as he turned back to Chitos. The biggest vigilante has just been revealed, and for some reason he's being allowed to attend a public school. All the while villains are chomping at the bits for revenge. Are you okay with that, Mr. All Might? All Might took a closer look and recognized the reporter. I know you. You're that big-time reporter Kazuki, right? Indeed, said Chitos as she held the phone out. With the introductions out of the way, would you mind answering a few questions? If I don't? Well, silence is also an answer to some questions, even the ones about the safety of all the people in the school, she said with a grin. All Might could see where she was going. He's had to deal with quite a few reporters in his day, but he could tell she was different. You're good. Chitos knew she had him now. I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't this good. Now tell me, what is the situation with Izuku Midoriya? I am not at liberty to discuss the details, but I can tell you this. The school is being watched by several heroes, police and me. So if a villain is stupid enough to try anything, they will be arrested before they even come close to the school. Now if you'll excuse me, I must be off. As he jumped away. Chitos's smile never left her face as she put away her phone and walked to her car. Her assistant was worried that she might be angry, but Chitos just raised a hand. This isn't a bad thing. Ma'am, this encounter told us that the boy is still going to school and has somehow cut a deal with the police. This tells us we can come back later for a word with the boy, and it gives us a chance to learn more secrets. She began to hum with excitement. This is making me curious. Tilda oh tilde. Izuku was starting to regret his decision to return to school, as he was now hiding from his fellow students as he ate his lunch on the roof of the school. He took out his bay and looked at it. Hey Tenku, do you think I made the right move, coming back here like this? He paused for a moment. Me neither. Maybe Nezu knew something we didn't. So you would like to attend school here? Asked Nezu as he and Izuku were talking in his office. Yes, sir, said Izuku, who was dead tired. I know I've broken a lot of rules, but that doesn't change the fact. I want to be a hero. I want to help people and well. Nezu sipped his tea. Don't worry, I understand. As a test subject myself, I understand the urge to go against your oppressor's will. I know you want to do the right thing. And do you think you can do the right thing here at UA? Yes, I do, before he yawned. Sorry. Are you all right? Izuku shook his head. No, there's been a lot of changes and my mom isn't taking them well. She's been staying bed a lot and barely eating. Nezu was silent as he looked, not at the vigilante, but at the boy, whose life has been twisted by the actions of his father, but one who is still trying to do the right thing. Midoriya, do you think working with us will help? Yes, I think it will help get things back on track. Not only with me, but hopefully it will allow for enough of a fresh start for me and my mom, while continuing to pursue my dream. Very well, I will help you. Izuku perked up a bit. But it requires you to agree to a few things. One of which was to graduate middle school, without committing any more acts of vigilantism. I thought that the whole not fighting would be a challenge, but dealing with my classmates might be worse. He looked to see Tenku glow a little. Yeah, this can't be that hard. In a blink of an eye, this will all be over. That's when he heard the bell ring. All right, it looks like it's time to go back to class. Tilda oh tilde. Midoriya, front and center, yelled the coach. Well, he really was the P teacher, but Izuku never bothered to learn his name, but nonetheless he stepped forward. Do you have any idea how many classes you've missed? Yes, or I should say it would be easier to tell you how many times I've shown up for your class, said Izuku, not really caring as he counted down the seconds until school was over. I've only ever shown up for class on the first day of school. That's right, Buttercup, you've only shown up once, screamed the coach. I don't care who or what you are, boy. You show up to class, understand? Yes, because legally I have to be here now. For some reason, this just made the coach angrier. Trying to be the funny guy, huh? Well, it just so happens today, we are doing a few tests. Griot. Izuku wasn't intimidated in the slightest. Hurry, and put you gym cloths on, and prepare for a world of hurt. Izuku left for the locker room. Let this be a lesson for all of you. This is the punishment for thinking you can use your quirks like a delinquent, he said to the class. They could tell he wanted to make some sort of example out of Izuku. That kid may be able to be a vigilante, but he hasn't been doing anything but rely on that top of his. I'll give him his first real workout of his life. He then heard the locker room door open. All right, are you oh? He and the rest of the class were shocked silent by Izuku and how fit he was. He wasn't bulky at all, but there was almost no fat on his body whatsoever. This caused the class to drop their jaws. All of the girls blushed and some boys. Okay, so what are these tests? Asked Izuku. The coach collected himself. Pull-ups. Izuku was keeping up a solid pace for 10 minutes before the coach told him to stop. Mile run. Izuku broke the record. Push-ups. Second verse same as the first. Long jump. Didn't even touch the sand. Bench press. Izuku was easily lifting his own weight, only feeling slightly sweaty when he made it to 1,000. What the hell? How the hell are you doing that? Is that your quirk? Izuku began to wipe the sweat off. No, I just had a crazy teacher. Izuku made it back to Tyson's dojo. Our huff we huff done. I told you his training was intense, said Tyson. An old but very fit Chinese man just grinned. Sorry Izuku, we still have one more part left, said Ray, live combat. Izuku looked up a little confused. Am I fighting you or Tyson? Oh no, you're not going to fight us, said Ray with a cat-like grin. I sent letters to those 2-bit temples saying that they were pathetic, and that you challenged them. They'll be the ones hunting you down today. Izuku slowly turned to Tyson. Yeah, sorry about that, my dude. He's somewhat gotten a little crazy in his old age. An explosion blew away the door. My door. Which one of you insulted the Balin Temple? Said a man in purple traditional Chinese garbs. Ray gave Izuku a thumbs up. Have fun, kid. He made sure I was in shape, and all those monks he threw at me helped as well, said Izuku as he remembered fighting them off. Though on the plus side, they did teach me some of their martial arts. The coach begrudgingly conceded and moved on. Tilde oh tilde. The first day back at school ended, and Izuku made a beeline to the exit, not wanting to be there any longer than he had to. Though he soon found his path blocked by several annoyances, including but not limited to Bakugo, heroes, and a legion of reporters. For the love of, they were all trying to get his attention. Izuku tried to move around them, but was cut off by Kamui Woods. Dude, I haven't done anything, please move. I have orders to make sure you get home, clarified Kamui. You are going home, right? I would love to, but as you can see the exit is kind of being blocked, said Izuku pointing to the crowd. So either help me get through, or we go around, take your pick. Kamui Woods could see the problem going through the crowd. Okay, fine, as he extended his branches out to Midoriya. I'll carry you out of here. No, before Kamui could say anything, Izuku jumped on his shoulder and jumped into the air before using his grappling hook to swing him over the crowd and onto the roofs. When Kamui caught up to him, he saw Izuku making a phone call. You knew this would happen, didn't you? Oh, hello, Midoriya. So how did you like your first day? Said a laughing Nezu. What the hell, man? Said Izuku into the phone. You knew this crap was going to happen. Why? Why am I putting you through this? Well, that's simple, it's a test. A test to see if you can keep that bay of yours in check, and to show you just how much of an impact your actions had. Izuku looked down at the crowd. Message received. I still don't see why everyone is freaking out about this. Wow, when we spoke before I thought you were being somewhat modest. But you really didn't think people would care if they found out you were the Vigilante. I didn't think it would be this big. I thought a week of laying low would be enough for things to calm down. This is going to be a pain. Most likely, but remember spin the bay and no Yua. Yeah, I know. No bay outside the practice zones or without the permission of a pro hero, said Izuku before saying goodbye to Nezu. Okay, Kamui, you see any paths that are somewhat clear? Kamui then led Izuku, trying to avoid the press. Tilda, oh tilde. But father, it would be for just a moment, pleaded Momo to her parents. Currently her and her parents were on their way to an early dinner with some forging business partners that her parents wanted her to meet. Yaoyorozu Maido was getting tired of this. Momo, I know you want to meet the boy who saved your life, but we have other responsibilities. Not to mention, I think it's a bad idea. Your father's right, Momo, said Ria Yaoyorozu. This boy might have helped a lot of people, but he still broke the law, and from what I heard he acts like a delinquent. I don't think that's someone you should be hanging around. But Momo couldn't finish as the limo suddenly lurched to a sudden stop. What was that? As the family looked outside, they saw a big rock man breaking cars. Where are you, brat? Shouted the rock villain. Come out, I know I saw you. Hold it right there, villain, said Kamui as he landed on a car in front of the rock villain. You've disrupted traffic and are trying to harm the citizens of this fair town. You are the definition of villainy. Surrender now, or I will be forced to arrest you. Do you really need to give a speech every time you fight someone? Asked Izuku from the sideline. It's kind of cringy. This earned an angry Kamui telling him to move away. You, yelled the rock villain as he pointed at Izuku. I've been looking for you. It's time for a rematch. I need to pay you back for what you did to me. I'm good, said Izuku as walked to the side. What? No, fight me. Can't. Blame Woody over there. It's Kamui Wood. And no, I'm not giving you permission to fight, said Kamui Woods as he turned to the villain. Your opponent is me. Screw you, as he threw a car at Kamui. Kamui was able to dodge it with ease and began to use his special move on the rock villain, but the villain grabbed the extending branch and tossed him away. You are nothing but a second-rate hero. Kamui pushed himself up. Why you? Aim for the legs, said Izuku calmly, though this got the attention of the villain as he began to throw vending machines at Izuku. Izuku showed some incredible acrobatic skill as he dodged the vending machines. I suggest you hurry before there is more collateral damage. Kamui Wood dashed back at the villain, aiming at his legs, causing him to trip. By the time the rock villain was picking himself up, Kamui had already wrapped him up in so many branches that he couldn't escape. Justice prevails. Well, that could have gone better. I guess I wait now. As Izuku turned to find a place to sit, when he realized there was a girl staring at him, with stars in her eyes. Ooh, hi. You're Izuku Midoriya, said Momo, shaking with excitement. I've wanted to meet you for so long. You saved my life years ago. I did? As Izuku noticed the fancy dress she had on. What are you, that girl from the burning mansion? Yes, my name is Momo Yaoyorozu. Izuku visibly flinched at the name Yaoyorozu. I just wanted to thank you for helping me and my family. Yeah, no problem, said Izuku, trying to think of a way to get out of this. Momo could see this. Is something wrong? Did I say something? No, it's just my luck. Momo, said her father. Brat, yelled the villain as he broke free and rushed Izuku. I'm going to smash you. Izuku was about to grab Momo and jump away when a giant flail came flying and hit the villain, sending him flying. Oh, for the love of, what are you doing here, Junior? Momo followed the chain to the flail's owner, and to her surprise, she recognized the person. Robert Jurgen. The third at your service. Only my father and grandfather call me Junior. Use my real name, said the European noble as he handed his flail to his butler. Honestly, Izuku, why do you insist on calling me Junior? Izuku shrugged. Well, I met your grandfather first, and knowing 3 people who have the same name can be a bit hectic. But that aside, what are you doing here? Excuse me, said Kamui Woods after wrapping up the villain again. Young man, you can't go around interfering in hero work. Robert took out a brick of cash and tossed it to Kamui Woods. Here, keep the change. Robert, said Izuku as he felt a headache coming. You can't just throw money at your problems all the time. It doesn't work that way. I understand, but for the pointless ones so far it's worked. He clarified as he signaled one of his butlers to deal with the hero. As for why I'm back here in Japan, Enrique invited me. No, why is Enrique here? Yelled Izuku as he heard the name. Why do you have a problem with him again? Asked Robert as his security began to block the crowd. Wait a minute. You don't mean Enrique Concern, do you? Interjected. Momo was surprised at what she was hearing. Of the Concern family. Indeed, Miss Yaoyorozu. Though I have to say I'm surprised that you and Izuku know each other, said Robert as another limo rolled up. You would be surprised how much of a small world it is. said a tall blonde man in a fancy red suit coming out of the limo. Those who have done great things often know others of the same value. Mito Yayarazu dropped his jaw. Julian concerned. Julian looked to see Mito. Oh, hello, Mito. I wasn't expecting to see you till dinner. Mito came and bowed to Julian as a show of respect before shaking his hand. Yes, I wasn't expecting you here either. How do you know this boy? As he gestured to Izuku. Izuku was looking left and right now. Where's your nephew? Julian's face soured as he was wondering that himself. I don't know, he's around here somewhere. Again, I do apologize for his actions last time he was here. That was no way a member of the Concern family should act. It's one of the reasons I was happy he invited Robert. Do you know where Enrique is? Robert shook his head. Sorry, he ran off when we arrived into town. His text said he was going to find his Japanese lady friend. This caused the group to sweat drop, while Julian slowly shook his head. Just keep him away from me, and we'll be good, said Izuku. Still, I feel bad with the way he acted. Will you be joining us for dinner? Asked Julian. No, I'm kind of under house arrest and need to be heading home, he said, pointing at Kamui Wood. So I apologize, but I have to go now. Tell your mom I said hi, came a voice behind them. Izuku's face turned to anger as he turned to see Enrique concerned. Tell her I wish she could join us. Enrique, he growled before he noticed something. Enrique had a huge black bruise under his left eye. What happened to your face? Enrique brought out a mirror. I'm on my cheek. This caused both Robert and Izuku to laugh. Julian sighed, and then came and pulled his nephew's ear. Oh, uncle, what was that for? What did you do, young man? Enrique began to sweat. Oh, nothing, just a speed bump with my new girlfriend. I'm not your girlfriend, yelled a girl from the crowd. She had orange hair that Izuku saw somewhere. This creep came out of nowhere and began hitting on me and my friends and wouldn't leave us alone. As she said that, Julian's anger rose as he grabbed Enrique's head and forced him to bow. I do apologize, miss. On behalf of my nephew, I deeply apologize. He will be punished for this. Izuku kept looking at the girl, which she noticed and froze for a moment. Do I know you? You look familiar. You're... Kendo quickly recognized Izuku. You saved my life a few years ago. I got kidnapped and you saved me with a sand pit. Oh, you're the Kendo girl. Good to see you're doing all right, said Izuku after he remembered the kidnapping incident. Sorry about the sand. It was the best I could think of. Oh no, it's fine and I thank you for the save. No problem, as Izuku checked his phone. He then turned to the Europeans. Sorry, but I really do need to get going. You know how to contact me. As he said his goodbye to the group before leaving. Though Enrique was the one with the final word. Tell your mom I say ooh. Uncle, stop pulling my ear. Mr. Concern, said Momo, getting his attention and allowing Enrique to free himself. How do you know him? It's a long story. Not too far away, a certain reporter was watching with the biggest grin. You got that right? Every word, said her cameraman. This keeps getting bigger and bigger, said Chitos. Ma'am, who are those people that Midoriya was talking to? Asked her assistant. They're a part of the wealthiest families in Europe, she said, shocking her crew. This boy is our golden ticket. Tilde. So how do you know those guys? Asked Kamui Woods. Izuku stopped at the next rooftop. Oh well, long story short, their grandfathers came to find an old friend who helped them a long time ago and hoped that he could do the same to their grandchildren. I think I helped Jonathan and Olivia. Junior is getting there slowly, and Enrique hits on almost every single girl in sight. I swear I can put a skirt on a tree and he'd try to flirt with it. Is that what he did with your mother? My mother, my aunt, and several girls at my school, said Izuku. I swear one of these days a girl is going to rip his dick off. I see. Kamui Woods still had more questions, but he quickly learned asking too many questions is not a good thing with Izuku. Better have him just say something than ask. Anyway, we need to get you home before the police chief yells at me. Izuku didn't move as he was looking out over the city. Hey, let's go this way. Why? There's a purse snatcher. Kamui Woods tried to follow Izuku's sights, but could see anything. Where? It's only a few kilometers away. As Izuku took out his grappling hook and took off. Come on, you have hero work to do. That day Izuku was able to get Kamui Woods to skyrocket in the rankings. Tilde. Izuku made it to his new apartment. Him and his mom had to move to a more secure building after everything that happened. Lucky Izuku knew some people who owed him some favors and got a good deal. He entered the apartment and saw his mom sitting in the kitchen. Hey mom, I'm home. Welcome home, she said quietly as she was looking at a few papers. What you looking at? Asked Izuku. but he had an idea of what it was. They're the last police reports they gave me about Hisashi. They searched the building we thought he worked at and found it was empty. There is nothing proving he's still alive. It proves I really am a widow," she said as tears began to leak out. Izuku sat down next to her and gave her a hug. "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have told you sooner." Inko shook her head. "No, Izuku. It's my fault. What type of wife am I not to know that my own husband is gone? I should have realized that those letters and messages were fake. I should have known something was off about his job. I should have known when he took you on those trips that something was happening. I should have known that something was happening with you," she said as she turned to her son. "I didn't even realize that you were going out each night, or on your daily runs. I should have known you were doing something." "Mom, none of that is your fault," said Izuku, trying to comfort her. "I never told you, and as far as you knew, Dad was just an everyday office worker. That still is no excuse. I have failed as a mother and a wife," said Inko, causing Izuku to be silent for a moment as he tried to think of something to say to cheer her up. "But that doesn't mean we can't do better." Izuku looked back to his mother. "I want to do better, Izuku, and I want to be a part of your life. So please talk to me. I can't stop you from doing everything, but I want to at least know about it. So I shall make a promise to you right now. I will be a better mother. All I ask is that you please talk to me. I want to know my son." Izuku could feel his eyes beginning to water as well. "Okay, Mom," as he was forced to wipe his eyes. "I'll tell you everything." For the first time in a long time, the Midoriya household felt that it was on the right track. Tilda. "You're telling me that this boy knows both the Jurgen and Konzern families," said Redistro as he spoke to Chitos. "Yep, I have footage and everything," she said as she played the clip. "This boy has connections to some very high places. No wonder the police are giving him such leeway. He most likely has some dirt or some sort of inside. Chitos, somehow I want to speak with him as soon as possible. I'll make it happen." The next 10 months for Izuku were fast for Izuku. Every day Izuku would wake up and go to school accompanied by a hero, and afterwards escorted home, though most of the time taking a detour or a different path, so the heroes could arrest any of the idiots that tried to arrest him. The worst part was avoiding the press. They hounded him constantly, and quite a few of them were more persistent than he would like. After he got home, he would hang out with his mother, upgrade some of his parts, or spare with All Might. All Might actually became a saving grace for Izuku, as he was pretty much the only hero that would give him permission to use his Beyblade. On the weekend, he was given permission to use training areas for practice, though unfortunately, he would also have to deal with the police and their endless questions. Ever since he had given them the information about his dad, they have been working non-stop to not only confirm the information, but also to follow them to see if they could find any leads. The only one he actually liked to talk to about all of this was Nezu. He felt a bit of a connection to Nezu. Also, he was the only one that actually was able to keep up with Izuku without too much explanation. Though 2 incidents did happen over the months that did have some impact. Izuku was waiting for Death Arms to get done talking to the police so that he could get home, when a reporter noticed him. "Izuku Midoriya, I've found celebrities easier than you. I'm Chitos Kazuki, I know," said Izuku, finishing her intro. "You've been following me for a while now. That's because you're still one of the biggest stories around, and everyone wants to know about you. The mysterious top, a vigilante that technically was never seen for nearly 10 years. Not to mention your age. That alone could be a page-turner," explained the reporter. "But you don't want to talk, do you?" Izuku then gave her a stare. "You're talking to me, yet you know I'm not going to say anything. So that means you have something for me, or you want to make some sort of exchange." Chitos smiled. "You are smart." As she dug through her purse, pulling out a small letter. "An exchange for an exchange." She held the letter out for Izuku. "Apparently, I've been chasing you too long, and my people are practically begging me to find a different story. Because you aren't talking, and neither are the police, because of your agreement. So I was able to get an interview with the CEO of the Detnaret Corporation. Though his odd price was to give you that letter." Izuku looked at the envelope in his hand. "He asked you, a reporter, to give me this letter. Well, he said if he sent one of his assistants, they may scare you off, and it gave me an excuse for one last chance to ask you some questions." As she pulled her phone out and hit record. "So Izuku Midoriya, can you at least tell me what's on your mind? Or what you're going to do about that letter? Anything?" Detnarat, as Izuku remembered where he had heard that name before. He thought for a moment. "I'm not going to read this." Chitos kept a straight, but inwardly she was screaming with fury and rage. "Yo, Death Arms, we got to go somewhere." "Huh?" Death Arms was now getting tired with these surprises. "Okay, and where do we need to go?" As he separated himself from the police. "Need to meet with a CEO. said Izuku, as if he was simply going to the convenience store. Wait, what? Hey, could you call the guy up and tell him me and Death Arms are on our way? He asked Chitos. Izuku. As Death Arms got Izuku's attention. What the hell is going on? My orders are to make sure you get home. Yeah, well, this is needed. Trust me. Look, kid. I hate to tell you, but no can do. I don't even have my car right now. Oh, don't worry about that. She's driving us. As he pointed at Chitos, confusing everyone. An exchange for an exchange. A drive to Detonarat, and on the way you get an interview. Chitos stood there wide-eyed for a moment before she brought her fingers to her mouth and made a loud whistle. Then, in a flash, her assistant appeared. Get the car, get the car, get the car. Death Arm saw this and groaned. You know, I'm really starting to regret taking this job. Ah, don't say that, said Izuku, seemingly trying to reassure him. The worst part has yet to come. Soon Izuku found himself in the back of Chitos's car, having an on-the-go interview with Death Arms riding shotgun and Chitos's assistant was driving. Izuku made sure she understood that he couldn't answer some questions as it was classified with the police, but he would try to answer as best he could. Chitos didn't like that, but she took anyway as she was now the first person to interview Izuku. During the drive they talked about his activities, the people he knows, and even some of the people he's fought. She wasn't able to get as much as she wanted, but it was a lot more than anyone else had gotten. Though their time came to an end when they arrived at a big corporate building. So this Detonarat Corp, as he looked up at the building. It's big. Yes it is, said Chitos. I've called ahead. Yatsubashi's assistant will meet you and lead you right up to him. Hey kid, do you know this guy? Asked Death Arms, as he remembered Izuku mentioning in the car ride he knew some powerful people. Nope, I've barely heard of him. Clarified Izuku. Do rich people ask to meet you often? No, though when they do, it's usually a pain in the ass. Said Izuku, earning looks from the others. Though when I don't show up it's usually a lot worse. Chitos coughed, getting his attention. I see Yatsubashi's assistant, as she pointed to the man with a panda-looking head. This is where we part ways. If you have to do an interview anytime soon, call me. As she gave him her card. Izuku and Death Arms watched as she and her assistant drove away. Lucky brat. Death Arms said under his breath, though loud enough for Izuku to hear it. You want it? As he held out the card. Come on, let's get this over with. As he and Izuku followed the assistant up to the CO's office. It didn't take them long, as the assistant was able to walk them right through security without any form of check or search. Soon the two found themselves in a big lavish office that screamed CEO. In the center of the room was a desk where a man, Enrique Yatsubashi, was sitting with a big grin on his face. Welcome, Midoriya, it is an honor to meet you. As he got out of his desk to walk around and shake his hand. I honestly wasn't expecting you to show up, let alone to meet me today. Neither did I, said Izuku honestly. I hope you didn't clear your schedule for me. Oh, don't worry about that, he said as he noticed the hero in the room. He knew he was coming but still didn't like it. Oh, my apologies, and you are? Death Arms, as they shook hands. I'm the hero assigned to this kid for today. Well, I don't mean to interfere with your work, but if you would like to take a break, my assistant here can show you where the break room is. Death Arms narrowed his eyes at the CEO. I think I'll stay. Whoa there, I wasn't trying to say I was going to do anything shady, said Redistro. How do I get rid of this moron? He can stay, said Izuku, getting their attention. He'll make sure we stay on topic because I do have a curfew I have to keep. Of course, said the CEO. Please both of you take a seat. As Izuku sat down, he made sure to notice and analyze each and every detail of the CEO's actions. So what is it that you wanted to meet about? You want information on the Hiwatari family and Biovolt? Or how about the Zagart labs? The CEO froze for a moment. He looked at his assistant, who was equally shocked. Do you have info on them? That's usually the first thing I get asked, said the boy, which made the adults wonder what the hell was this kid's life. But you did send a messenger, so please tell us what's going on. Well, I will not deny this is somewhat business related. Me and few others did notice how you interacted with a few big-name people. And with everything you've said so far, it's clear I'm not the first exposure to the corporate world you've had. To be honest, there's much I would love to discuss with you, mainly about your future, not only with hero work, but also about your place in our society, said the CEO as he waited for Izuku's reaction. If you don't mind me asking, what do you think of our society? Death Arms raised an eyebrow at the question, but didn't interrupt as he was also curious at what Izuku was going to say. Izuku said nothing as he took out his phone. Do you mind if I get your contact information? This caught Rikia off guard. Of course, but may I ask why? You're getting political. This honestly confused the CEO. Oh, you don't have to make that face. I can already tell the reason you don't want Death Arms here is because while the conversation itself might not be bad, the topic might get you in some hot water. Even though our society says government and business are separate, they often rub elbows with each other. You either want to make a deal with yourself or for a friend, and this letter was a long shot that actually worked. To be perfectly honest, I'm not the high society type of person, but I can't deny I'm most likely going to be involved in it for a while. So I'm willing to play ball, just not right now. I can't walk on these bridges right now, but I also don't want to burn them if that makes any sense. Oh, it makes perfect sense, said Yotsubashi. To be honest, that works perfectly for me. I do admit I wasn't fully prepared for your arrival. It's all right, said Izuku as he got up. We can finish this another time, when I'm not being watched like somewhat of a list celebrity. Of course, said the CEO, happy by the turn of events. They quickly exchanged information before he watched Izuku and Death Arms leave the building. Either I'm really dealing with a kid or something else happened during that talk. I'm going to have to keep an eye on him, that's for sure. Tilda oh tilde. Ooh, okay, said Death Arms as he was driving Izuku home. He called his sidekick to bring him his car. Mind telling me what the hell that was about? I may not be a salaryman, but even I could tell that was not normal. I wanted you there so I wouldn't launch my bay into his face, said Izuku with anger in his voice. I went there today to confirm he was related to Destro, the former leader of the Meta Liberation Army. Death Arms was now alarmed. Wait, you mean the guy who was ahead of those fanatics that wanted to get rid of the laws? Yep, said Izuku as he pulled out his phone. Merci, analysis report. I can confirm that the DNA taken from your data ring shows that it had a 50% match with Chikara Yotsubashi Aka Destro, said his French AI companion. What the hell is that thing, and what is a data ring? Merci, is my French AI. Found him when me and Rugga were searching one of my dad's old buildings. He recognized it as the old AI used in an experiment. But when they deemed the experiment a failure, they just shut him down and left him. And he didn't want to be left there, and I couldn't keep asking Dizzy as she and Kenny live in America. So I asked if he wanted to help me out, and he said yes. That gives me way more questions than answers. Well, to answer your other question, a few years back, I was hunting a villain that had a quirk that could poison people. He went around and poisoned crowds of people without them knowing about it until it was too late. Deep in his poison was his DNA. Since I was still a kid, they ignored me if I bumped into people. So with Mercy's help, I made this ring that not only monitors my vitals, but also scans for others. It also doubles as a spare rip cord if I need one, as it unraveled into a rip cord to use with his launcher. What the hell's with the gadgets, you James Bond now? Please, said Merci, Bond wishes he had moi. Will, when you get tossed into the dark criminal underworld at the age of 4, you learn quickly and take every advantage you can. Death Arms began to shake his head. Okay, what does that have to do with the CEO guy? Destro and his Meta Liberation Army for years tried to stop laws controlling quirks, even experiments, or the production of equipment that would restrict or alter someone's quirk. Though being the hypocritical organization they were, they stole a lot of the research and tried making it their own, to help make them stronger. This research went missing when they all got arrested. Well, most of them got arrested. Some escaped arrest. And that research wasn't seen until my dad got his hands on it. And since my dad got his hands on it, I went looking for it, and I think I just found it. Death Arms followed where Izuku was going. You think the CEO was the guy who gave it to your father? Kid, that just sounds insane. For one, if that guy is related to Destro, that doesn't mean he is a criminal. True. But then tell me why Detonarat has been buying out remote locations and been purchasing the remains of villain equipment under the table. I didn't just start suspecting them today. Also, Monsieur Death Arms, said Merci. Why does a clothing company have security rivaling a government facility and a cyber network that is off the grid? You hacked them, yelled Death Arms. Watch the road, Izuku yelled back as Death Arms almost swerved into the other lane. Kid, do you have any idea how many laws you've broken? Merci. Would you like that list numerically or alphabetically? Responded the AI. Death Arms didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to dealing with a kid like this. This is ridiculous. You know I have to report this, right? I've already told Nezu, and Merci just sent the data to the police, said Izuku as he held his phone up for the hero to see. If Death Arms wasn't currently driving, he would have been losing it. Let me guess you're wondering what the hell I'm doing. Death Arms didn't respond as he had given up. My agreement also states that if I ever get into a situation that involves my history, that I have permission to investigate. And even if they don't allow me to continue past today, I have a few friends that can cover that. Death Arms raised an eyebrow. Friends? You might meet them someday. Tilde oh tilde. Turns out that day wasn't too far away, as the second incident happened. Though after the incident with Detar, the police decided to undergo an investigation, though it wasn't as big as Izuku wanted. But he was able to have his friends to help, especially after they helped a dozen or so more investigations. Izuku was currently watching as MT Lady had some trouble with a biker gang. She had volunteered to be his escort, but Izuku could tell she was trying to get more attention, though part of him knew she was trying her best. Hey, you might want to switch from being big and being small. MT Lady was ignoring this, as she tried to continue to stomp on one of the bikers that had a quirk that allowed him to bounce physical attacks back at her. The stoom backfired as it sent her backwards off balance. Lucky she was able to shrink back down to her normal size before causing collateral damage. Don't worry kid, I got this, I'll protect you. Izuku really wanted to say something along the lines, yeah sure you are. But he couldn't deny she nailed the reassuring smile. If she actually tried, she could be a good hero. So instead, he gave her a thumbs up. Okay, keep up the good work. If you need any help, to hesitate to ask. You're the ones that's going to need the help, said one foe the bikers as a few bikers surrounded Izuku. Shit, said MT Lady as she saw this. Kid-I. Don't say it, said Kamui Woods as he and Death Arms showed up. The heroes have arrived. Time to start knocking heads, yelled Death Arms as he began punching bikers. Hurry up and kill the kid, yelled a biker to the ones surrounding Izuku. Izuku held Tanku in his hand as he sighed. Sorry buddy, looks like we're doing this a different way. He then jumped over a few of the bikers. Hey numbskulls, follow me, as Izuku walked down an alley. After him, yelled one of the bikers as they disengaged the heroes and chased after Izuku. They chased Izuku through the allies until they found him sitting on top of a box in a dead end. Gotcha now, brat. You're going to pay for smashing our rides and crashing our hideouts all across town. You guys are morons, said Izuku, not at all scared. You have less intelligence than a rat. The bikers did not like that. What did you say? I found all your hideouts. Do you know how I did that? I'll give you a hint, it's why I dragged you here. The bikers were confused by this and looked around, seeing nothing in the alley. What the fuck are you talking about, boy? I have friends, said Izuku as the heroes arrived behind the bikers, but stopped when they began hearing something all around them. Friends that inform me what's going on all around town. They find criminals for me, and I pay them back with food like cookies or candy. The bikers began to turn their heads, scanning all around them, as they could feel that they were now surrounded. What's happening? Izuku looked at Tanku in his hand. You know, I don't know why, but ever since I got Tanku, I've just felt a connection with them. They've become good friends. The trash can lid was launched off of the can, causing the bikers to stare at it as a small fuzzy head popped out of the can. A raccoon. The bikers began to laugh. I can't believe we got scared of a small raccoon. They continued laughing until they saw the raccoon point up. They followed the raccoon's finger upward where they saw the fire escape. The rooftops and windows all filled with raccoons. Rara raccoons. Yep, said Izuku as the raccoons swarmed the bikers, engulfing them in a sea of black and gray as they scratched and clawed at the bikers. The heroes stood petrified by the sight of the horde of raccoons. See, I told you someday you'd meet my friends. All three heroes turned to Izuku with eyes as wide as dinner plates. Kid, what the hell? Asked Death Arms. These are my friends, said Izuku. Raccoons are everywhere. With their help, I can keep track of any villain who is trying to get away or any civilian that's in need of help. Even if my eyes are good, I can't keep track of everything alone. That's where these guys come in. You trained an army of raccoons, said Kamui Woods. Is this your quirk? How? Izuku tilted his head as he thought of a good response. I didn't really train any of them. They just listened to what I have to say, or at least to what Tanku says. Ooh, hey, are they going to be okay? Asked MT Lady. Oh yeah, they'll be fine. You got this, Sly. A raccoon stood up on top of the pule and gave Izuku a thumbs up. Yeah, they'll be fine. Though one raccoon stepped out of the crowd with a phone under one of its arms. Oh hey Otto, is something wrong? The coon then showed the phone. On the screen was the map of the city with a flashing red dot on it. We need to go, right now. He yelled at the heroes with urgency in his voice. The heroes snapped back to reality. What's wrong? The crawler's in trouble. Tilda oh tilde. Koichi was not having the best day. What started out as a usual night, just helping people find directions, became a life or death match of cat and mouse, as he saw an office explode in one of the business buildings. Koichi saw a man jump out and run along the rooftops with a briefcase, and it seemed like this was a job for the crawler. He activated his quirk and gave chase and cornering the man inside a warehouse. But before he could even get a good look at the man, he vanished. Now Koichi was trapped in a warehouse with a guy shouting at him from above. This guy is good. As the crawler dodged several bullets rolling and returning fire with his shooty go blam. Though the shoots only went through the roof. Where the hell is he? I can't tell his location at all. What's wrong? Came the man's voice. Having trouble? Do you need your mommy? Koichi tried to follow the voice. Where is he? How come I can't find him? So you're a vigilante, huh? Said the voice. Ha, that's a riot. I thought you were some hero. Looks like I don't need to hold back then. I didn't want the heroes getting wise to me, but now I can off you without worry. Koichi was now borderline freaking out. Then he heard a familiar sound, the rapid spinning of gears. You're a blader. As he limboed under the flying Beyblade. Huh? You know my weapon. You must be friends with that damn boy, said the man as he started getting angry. Of course you are, but that will make killing you so much better. Koichi was putting every trick he had to dodge the bay as it bounced and jumped around the warehouse. This wasn't the first time he had tangled with a bay, but this was the first time he could clearly tell this bay was shooting to kill. This is bad. I need to stop it. If only it would stop bouncing. Koichi kept his eye on the bay and waited for his chance. After several minutes it came. The bay charged at him straight while staying on the ground. Gotcha, as he put both hands on the ground. The bay then began to grind to a halt before digging straight into the ground. What? You ain't the first blader I fought, exclaimed Koichi. Lucky for me my quirk works well against Beyblades. Oh, does it now? Said the voice. Lynx extend. As the bay glowed and jumped out of the ground, it flipped before bouncing off of the ceiling before heading straight at Koichi. Kill him. Oh no you don't, as a grappling hook was launched intercepting the bay before hitting Koichi. The crawler looked and saw his friends. Knuckleduster, Popstep, you guys came for me. Of course you idiot, said Popstep. We ain't going to let you fight alone. Crawler, the vigilante turned to see Izuku, and the three heroes behind him. Well look you decided to show, said Knuckleduster. You sure you ain't too famous to help us out? I couldn't leave you guys behind, said Izuku as he saw the bay bouncing around. That bay, Johans. A man in a white coat with a yellow cap. Well look what the cat dragged in. I should have known you were the vigilante around town after I saw you palling around with that annoying a whole daychai. How the hell are you here? Last I checked you should be rotting in a South American prison. Oh, I called in a favor from the Garcia family, said Johans with a laugh. Honestly, they act like cats with catnip for even a little bit of dirt on Jinga. They hate him more than cats hate water. MT lady staring at the guy in disbelief. Okay, what's with this cat guy thing? Hey, I have a name you know, said Johans. His name is Johans, explained Izuku as he loaded his bay. He's a criminal that specializes in finding and stealing ancient artifacts. Also, I'm going to need permission right now to fight. Why? Johans grinned. Let me show ya, Lynx. His bay shot out of the shadows at high speed at the heroes. The heroes ducked for cover and dodged as the bay began bouncing around the warehouse. Death Arms stuck his head out to confirm what he saw. This guy is using a top Beyblade, said Izuku / Johans / and the vigilantes. Whatever, said Death Arms, dodging from another attack. I thought you were the only one with one of those things. I never said that. Now give me permission to fight so I can take this guy out, yelled Izuku as he got ready to launch. MT lady began to grow. Don't worry, I got this. As she got so large she went through the roof, causing the heroes and Johans to run and avoid the falling debris. Oops, sorry. MT lady, what are you doing? Asked Kamui Woods. Ending this quickly, she said as she lunged at Johans. Johans looked insulted. Do you really underestimate me that much? Lynx. Johans's bay shot up at MT lady, hitting her arm and slicing it open, causing her to scream in pain. MT lady, yelled the heroes as they saw the bay spin around her arm like a corkscrew, cutting it in the process. Koichi reacted first, launching himself into the sky, timing his hit just right, intercepting the bay on her arm and blasting it off with his quirk. MT lady fell as she shrunk down, to be caught by Kamui Woods. MT lady, are you all right? MT lady slowly tried to raise her arm, but was in too much pain. My arm, damn this hurts. Ma. Everyone could see her arm was shredded. Shit, that was a bad idea. I may have to tap out. Johans raised a bag as his bay landed in it. Oh, don't tap out yet. The bag with his bay began to expand rapidly. The fun is just getting started. The bag now was his size and looked ready to burst. Eat this, Schrodinger's bay. The bag exploded as several dozen bays were launched at the heroes. The bays came flying and bouncing off of everything, and some almost hit the heroes. Knuckleduster started to intercept some of the bays with his fist. Crawler did the same with his air shots, and Kamui Woods was covering the others with his quirk. Hey, shouted Izuku, getting their attention. Unless I fight, we're going to get screwed here. Damn it, said Death Arms. Fine, I give you permission to fight. Finally, Izuku jumped in the air and let it rip as his bay launched, intercepting the other bays. Tanku go. Tanku began to glow as it became faster, hitting bays left and right, shattering them into shards before they faded away. Popstep used her mickwhacking stick and hit a few of the bays, shattering them. The same with Knuckleduster and Crawler. What are these? They shatter on contact. It's his quirk, said Izuku as he dodged a few bays. His quirk is a weird one. I don't really get it myself, but it allows him to somewhat bend the laws of reality. Bend the laws of reality? You're kidding. Tanku then, in a blur of speed, destroyed several more. Ever heard of Schrodinger's cat? Crawler paused as he remembered hearing it in a lecture. Wait, you mean the whole dead cat bow thing? Yep. As far as I can tell, he can mess with objects as long as no one can see the object being messed with, though the objects created or messed with aren't as durable as the original, said Izuku as his eyes darted back and forth between the bays on the ground, trying to find the real one. The one that wasn't acting like the rest. The one that was just bouncing from place to place and not attacking. There, Tanku. Tanku bounced off of some bays as it made a beeline to the one Izuku was targeting. They collided, causing Lynx to fly back to Johans. Found you. Lynx. Johans growled in frustration, though quickly calmed down seeing that Lynx was still spinning strong. You're going to pay for that, huh? Johans looked to see Izuku was gone. He darted his eyes left and right, but couldn't see him. Hey, where did he go? Lynx then got hit again by Tanku. Lynx, timed him off. He wasn't able to finish as Izuku punched him in the face, causing Johans to stagger for a bit. Why you? As he whipped his hand out of his sleeves, showing bladed claws on his hand. I'm going to cut you up like a cat toy. Izuku didn't say anything as he got into a fighting stance and signaled for Johans to come at him. Johans began to try and slash at Izuku, who dodged each strike, and then countered the last one, but Johans dodged himself and used it to strike at Izuku's arm. Gotcha, ting what? Johans then saw Izuku was holding something that ran across his arm. A tonfa. Here, take a closer look. As Izuku began to go on the attack, he expertly wielded his tonfa, spinning it back and forth, hitting Johans several times. I got to thank Garland for the tonfa lessons. Shit, Lynx, as he tried to get his bay for backup. Tanku stopped Lynx and sent it back to where the heroes were. Crawler, stop it. Way ahead of you. As Koichi used his quick to control the friction of the ground, making the bay go to a grinding halt. Lynx, Enanuo. As Johans was distracted, Izuku took the opportunity to hit his arm right into the path of Tanku, destroying his cat claw. My weapon. Izuku then gave him a tonfa backhand, sending him to the ground. Johans looked up at Izuku. This isn't over yet. Lynx, show them your claws. Extend. Lynx's base then extended upward, giving it enough power to escape Koichi's trap. Lynx then began to glow bright yellow. The light began to grow and take shape. The shape of a giant cat, yelled the heroes at the sight they were seeing. Is this the first time you've seen this? Asked Knuckleduster. Tanku shot up, blocking Lynx from attacking Izuku. Johans saw this and saw a moment to escape as he made a dash for the exit. Oh no, you don't. Tanku glowed and began to create a small tornado. Ha, I'm too far away. That won't get me, thought Johans. Izuku then jumped over the bays that were locked in combat. Tanku then disengaged and jumped right behind Izuku, tossing Izuku with a small tornado. He's using the tornado as a big jump. Johans could do nothing as he saw Izuku coming right at him with tonfa in hand. Izuku spun with the tornado, giving him more momentum. Lights out, Johans. As he hit Johans with his tonfa, knocking him out. Izuku did a flip to help catch himself from landing face first. He looked over to make sure Johans was down, and then looked to see Lynx spinning out. Looks like that's it. You guys okay? We're fine, said Knuckleduster. Crawler here only has a few cuts on him, and Empty Lady's arm is the worst injury we got, but it looks like it should recover quickly. How the hell do you know? Yelled Empty Lady. That thing hurt like a bitch. I won't be able to wear t-shirts now. You'd still look fine, said Kemui Woods. It will heal, but you should go easy on the arm. Injuries aside, I got a few questions, said Death Arms. For starters, who are you guys? Koichi and Kazuho flinched a little. Knuckleduster just grinned. The Fists of Justice. This caused Koichi, Kazuho, and Izuku to facepalm. What? Oh, meow, meow, came a feminine voice. It looks like the little Jerry's got the best of the big tomcat. They all looked up to the hole in the roof Empty Lady made to see a woman standing in the moonlight. She was wearing a yellow top and gray skirt, both with cat paw print patterns on them. She had a choker with a bell on it, long brown hair, and looked to be in her mid-20s. Looks like Madi will have to come and save the day again. Hey, who's she? Asked Kazuho. Excuse me, ma'am, are you by chance a hero? Asked Kamui Woods. Madi is Madi, she said as a Beyblade dashed on the ground, hitting Lynx up in the air for Madi to catch. And Madi is here to get Johan's back. She has a Beyblade too, yelled MT Lady. How many of you guys are there? We can ask that later. Surround her, yelled Death Arms. Madi put a finger on her cheek. Madi sees an old guy, a scary guy, a cute boy, and a woody guy. She looked right at Popstep and MT Lady, a flatty and a fatty. Both MT Lady and Popstep got massive tick marks as their anger grew. Who are you calling flat-a-fatty? 7 against 1 is not good odds for Madi, as her bay began to circle, causing a smoke screen to cover everyone. Izuku and Koichi used an air blast to clear the smoke. When they did, they saw Madi on the roof again, this time holding Johan's and the briefcase. Madi will take her leave now. Be careful, boy, and bye, cute guy. As she jumped away, Izuku, Crawler, and Kamui Woods jumped to the roof, finding no traces of them. That ain't good, said Izuku. He wanted to give chase to see if he could track him, but was told against it. Shortly afterwards, Ingenium showed up and said that Crawler, Popstep, and Knuckleduster worked for him. Getting them out of trouble, Izuku would owe him for that. Tilda. Izuku would try later to find out anything more about Johan's and Madi, but couldn't find anything. But soon his 10 months were up, and he found himself standing in front of his future as he looked at US gates. We're here, Tenku. It's about time. Ochako was nervous now. She knew the competition would be fierce. She was so distracted she hadn't realized she accidentally tripped over someone who was crouching down. Whoa, as she fell, but she didn't hit the ground as she was caught by someone. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's fine. I guess that's what I get for crouching down, said Izuku before he crouched next to the bush again. Ochako instantly recognized who she was talking to. Wait, what are you doing? Izuku looked back up to Ochako. Oh, I'm just feeding this little guy here. Ochako bent down to see that in the bush was a little raccoon eating dog treats. A baby raccoon, she said with joy as she began to fawn over the cute raccoon. It looks adorable. That's when Bakugo decided to ruin the moment. Deku, as Bakugo walked up behind him, getting their attention. Stop playing with the trash panda and prepare to die today, 'cause the one that's getting into you is me. Izuku just gave Bakugo a blank stare, not bothering to respond, and Ochako, on the other hand, was staring back at Bakugo wide-eyed at his words. This is a hero school. Bakugo gave Ochako a death glare. I know that, he shouted, scaring her and causing the raccoon to run off. Because when I graduate UA, I'm going to become the #1 hero. I will be the next All Might. I'll be better than him. So remember that, you damn extra. As he walked off to UA. That's Bakugo for ya, said Izuku. Come on, we should head inside as well. Ochako nodded and followed Izuku inside. Izuku sat down, ignoring the glare he was getting from Bakugo. Present Mike appeared on stage and began going through what the entrance exam would entail. Izuku already knew that they would be fighting machines, and that their overall score would be determined by how many they could destroy. But he also suspected there would be more to it than just destroying robots. Doesn't matter either way. I will go in with the best of my abilities and see how well I do. Excuse me, said a voice, getting everyone's attention, including Izuku's. On the handout it clearly shows 4 types of robots we will be facing. If this is an error and an embarrassment to you. Also, as the boy turned to Izuku. You shouldn't be here. A vigilante like you who has no respect for the law should be in a place for heroics. Leave now. In the middle of the boy's speech, Izuku took out a piece of paper and began to write something down on it before folding it into a paper airplane. He then proceeded to toss the paper airplane to the side, which then curved around the hall before landing right in front of Ida. Ida picked it up and began to read it out loud. To my new fan, Izuku Midoriya, I don't want your autograph. I don't want. Ida stopped for a moment as he saw there was more written down. Turn the page over, he did. Now could you please sit back down and stop reading this page out loud like a moron? You're embarrassing yourself, all of which Ida read out loud in front over one. The rest of the hall began laughing. Even present Mike couldn't help but chuckle a little. Ida, on the other hand, was not amused and was getting angry. You. Enough, shouted present Mike, causing some to cover their ears. One kid, that 4th type is an obstacle that you should avoid if possible. Also, please sit down. 2 Izuku is here to take the test like everyone else, okay? Ida begrudgingly nodded before sitting back down. Well, that wraps up this show, so get out there and go plus ultra. Izuku was standing outside of test area beta, doing some stretches as he waited for the test to begin. Some of the other applicants tried to talk to him, which he politely declined unless they asked for advice, and he happily gave his opinion on how to use their quirks. It was actually kind of nice until the boy from earlier showed up. As he grabbed Izuku's shoulder, Izuku had to resist the urge to throw him. What do you hope to accomplish here, trying to ruin other people's chances of getting into UA? Izuku looked at the guy with an emotionless look. Who are you again? Ida was taken aback by this. I'm the guy who you humiliated. My name is Tenya Ida. Now, that got Izuku attention. Tenya Ida, wait, you're Ingenium's little brother. Izuku said with shock clearly in his voice. You're kidding. Tenya strided himself a bit as his brother was mentioned. Indeed I am. And don't talk about my brother as if you're friends. Izuku was still staring at Tenya in shock. This guy with a stick up his ass is related to Tensei, the guy who helped me and the other vigilantes out. He's one of the most chill heroes I know. How in the world is he related to this robot? Begin, shouted Present Mike over the speaker. Izuku instantly jumped over the crowd and started running in. Izuku then saw several robots coming at him. All right, Tanku, let's put on a good show. Let it rip. Izuku launched his bay as it went straight through 3 robots in front of him. Izuku reached down and grabbed a shard from one of the robots, and then jumped on a 4th robot using the shard to cut its wires, shutting it down. As he landed, he saw a 5th and 6th charging at him. He jumped on one of them, causing the 6th to commit friendly fire, destroying the 5th. But it didn't get Izuku as he jumped at the last second, and then ran and slid under the 6th, ripping and cutting out the wires, disabling it. All right, take down 3 in less than 2 minutes, not bad. He looked to see Tanku destroying 2 more. 8, not bad. More were showing up. Not even 5 minutes in, and we're already on a roll, let's go. Look out, yelled an applicant behind Izuku. Izuku quickly sent Tanku, creating a small vortex, pushing one of them out of the way. Oh thanks. Izuku ran and grabbed 2 more before they were hit by robots. Geez, how many lawsuits does UA have? Izuku put the 2 down as Tanku blew up the robots. They may be training robots, but that doesn't change the fact that they can be dangerous. Be careful and stay on your toes. Izuku looked to see Ochako having to save a few other people as well. Looks like I'm not the only one helping others out. He then looked to see Tenya angrily crushing robots. Wow, he's angry, though I think I should be following his lead. Hey, you guys, watch out for each other and try your best. As Izuku went back to destroying robots. In the monitoring room, the heroes/teachers were watching the exam with great interest, though they could not deny there was one student who had their attention more than the others. Wow, that kid is a lot better than I expected, said Midnight as they watched Izuku. Yeah, said Snipe. I thought he would solely rely on that Beyblade of his, but he's holding his own all by himself. They all agreed. Even Eraserhead was impressed. You can't be a hero if you're a one-trick pony. Even if you take out the points he got from his bay, he still has plenty of points, said Cementos. I don't think he even needed his weapon for this exam. Maybe, but he is using it to get quite a bit of hero points. As Nezu pointed to the screen, where they saw the bay making tiny tornadoes to catch and move other students out of the way of danger. Honestly, for a small top, it is quite powerful and useful. Hey Nezu, why is he taking the regular exam? I thought you already passed him, asked Present Mike. Nezu smiled. I did. It was clear before he took any of our other tests that he was more than ready for UA. But when I told him that, he declined, saying that he wanted to get into UA like everyone else, and that he didn't want any special treatment. Toshinori smiled. That boy may have a few issues, but he does have a good heart. I think he will make a fine addition to UA and a fine hero. Well, let's see how he handles this. As Aizawa hit a button on the console. Izuku stared at the destroyed robots at his feet. If I counted right, my score should be somewhere in the 60s by now. He then heard some of the other students counting their own scores. They all have scores below 50, huh? I guess I have more than enough. Boom, what now? He looked to see a giant robot towering above the city coming right at him and the other applicants. Oh well, didn't see that one coming. Ah, help, yelled one applicant. Izuku looked over to see it was Ochako, and that she was right in the path of the giant robot. Izuku also saw that all of Tanku, yelled Izuku as he grabbed a ball out of his pocket. The ball split open. His bay then hopped inside. Izuku closed the ball and got into his pitching stance. He then raised his leg all the way up. Tanku, trickle. Fiery fastball. Izuku dropped his leg and threw the baseball launcher over 120 mph at the giant robot. Halfway to the robot, the ball exploded as a giant firebird launched out and went right through the giant robot's head, destroying it in the process and sending it backwards away from Ochako. Ochako was in so much shock and awe she didn't notice Izuku walking up to her until he was right next to her. You saved me. Of course Izuku grabbed the rock, and with a grunt lifted it off of Ochako. I wouldn't be much of a hero if I left someone. He then held his hand out for Ochako to grab, which she did. He was careful not to move her too hard with her leg still injured. How bad is the leg? Not bad, but Ochako stopped as pain shot through her leg. Ah, she yelped a little. Izuku went to support her more. No, I need to keep going. I need to get more points before it's too late. Everyone stop, the test is over. Came Present Mike's voice over the loudspeaker. Ochako went stone-faced at the sound and collapsed to her knees. No, I only had 32 points. Izuku smiled and put his hand on her back. Don't worry, I'm sure you did fine. From what I could tell, the average everyone else got was around 20, so I believe you have a passing score. Really? She said with tears in her eyes. Yeah, I'm positive we both will be attending UA. He said, reassuring her. Does that young lady need medical attention? Asked Recovery Girl as she approached the two. Oh yes, said Izuku as he helped Ochako up. When he did, he quickly raised his hand as well, catching Tanku, who hopped back, which caused a few oohs and ahs. It's her leg, ma'am. Ochako stuck out her leg for Recovery Girl to see. Oh, that's not too bad, but I'll fix you up. Recovery Girl gave Ochako a kiss on her leg, causing it to be healed almost immediately. That should do. Ochako moved her leg around, checking if it really was better. Wow, what did you do? It's my quirk deal. It allows me to quicken the healing process, she explained. It also keeps parents from suing you guys, added Izuku. Just how many lawsuits have you helped UA avoid? Recovery Girl was silent for a moment. Too many. None of the teachers wanted to admit it, but Recovery Girl was a godsend to them. Thanks to her, they have avoided quite a few legal issues that have come up, including ones for the entrance exam. Anyway, you both are good to go. Now if you excuse me, I have to go check on the other students. Izuku and Ochako watched as Recovery Girl left to go check up on other patients. Afterwards, Ochako and Izuku walked back to the bus. Hey, you going to be okay? Oh yeah, my leg is doing fine now, said Ochako, forcing a small smile. I guess all I can do right now is wait and see if I passed or not. I'm sure you'll do fine, said Izuku as he checked his phone and saw Merci left him a message. Merci would do this when they were in public. He asked if Izuku wanted him to hack into UA and monitor the scores, if not change them. Izuku thought about it for a moment, and the mere act of him hesitating this question made him question his own morals. Ochako snapped him out of it when she tapped his shoulder. Izuku, are you okay? You took out your phone and kind of just left Earth for a moment. Izuku's mind raced for a moment to think of a solid excuse, and not that he was contemplating breaking into UA's network. Oh, I was just wondering whether to ask you for your number. Ochako's face slowly went red at this request. No one has asked for my number the first day we've met, especially not a guy. What do I do, she thought. Now her mind flew as she began to fluster. She didn't get back down to Earth until Izuku poked her. Oh, sorry. Sure, we can exchange numbers. They began to exchange numbers while Recovery Girl was watching. She smiled as they left. I ship it. Tilda, oh Tilda. The next week flew by without any issues, and like he had predicted, he had passed the UA exam with flying colors, and he may have had Merci take a little peek into UA's computer to see if Ochako passed. She did, and they went out to celebrate their passing of UA. I can't believe it, we passed, said Ochako, still ecstatic about passing the entrance exam. I can't wait to start school and soon after be a real hero. Izuku chuckled at her excitement. They both were walking down the sidewalk, heading to a small cafe for some coffee. Lucky Izuku was able to convince the heroes watching him to ease off for a moment. You're really excited, aren't you? Yeah, I'm surprised you're not. I am. It's just I've already celebrated with my mom when we got the letter. Oh, is she happy that you got into UA? Yeah, said Izuku as he remembered how his mom acted when they got the letter, which she was happy for. But that didn't come close to her reaction when Izuku told her she had made a friend that sent her through the roof. It took All Might coming to say congrats to Izuku to get her to calm down. Though she is more excited by other news. Not too far away, just around the corner, was Inko and All Might. Inko stuck her head around the corner to see her son entering a cafe with his new friend. Look, there they are. All Might was starting to feel a little uncomfortable. Yes, there they are. But why am I here exactly? Well, you're the only one that is able to convince the other heroes to give Izuku some space, and so far you're the only one that will actually work with Izuku instead of making him a dog on a leash. Also, you and Izuku respect each other, she explained. That didn't make All Might feel any better. Okay, so why are we here? This girl is the first friend Izuku has that isn't a vigilante hero, or related to the last two. I need to make sure with my own eyes that she is a regular girl, and not some sort of secret warrior or alien," said Inko as she signaled for All Might and her to move closer. All Might followed her, but couldn't help but feel that he was going to ruin this. One, he was still in his big form, and was just wearing a big coat, sunglasses, and a hat courtesy of Inko. He didn't think this disguise would work long. "Look, Miss Midoriya, I understand you are worried about young Midoriya, but is a big boy. He can handle himself." "Oh, come on, it will be fun," said Inko as she moved closer to the cafe. Hesitantly, All Might followed her. All Might tried to be stealth, but stealth wasn't his strong suit. In fact, it was a skill he was lacking. Not to mention he had the problem that his time limit was being wasted here. All Might had to figure out a way to get out of this without being rude. "Maybe I can deter her from this." All Might cleared his throat, getting her attention. "If you don't mind me asking, since when were you so interested in your son's social life?" A solemn look appeared on Inko's face. "I've always been worried about my son. I'm his mother. But when he was told he was quirkless, and that he shouldn't become a hero, it destroyed him, and for a brief moment I was so worried. But then right after that he got a new hope. One that he said he didn't want to tell me until he got it down. I didn't understand then, but that's when he got his Beyblade, and for a while I thought everything would be okay. And then one day he came home looking like a husk, like his world got shattered all over again. That was the first day he missed school. After that I started asking his teachers what was going on, and that's when they admitted some of the students had been messing with Izuku. After that I tried to help Izuku when I could, and that didn't work all that well, and then I was held hostage at gunpoint and my own son came to save me. Well, I didn't know it was my son at the time, but it did help us. It kept us close, and then we got into self-defense and working out together. That still didn't improve him getting friends, and now finally after so many years he has a friend. One that has nothing to do with his past, or from the school that rejected him." Inko paused as All Might processed the information. "I need to make sure this is a good friend. I need to be a good mother for once." "You are a good mother," said All Might, trying to comfort her. "I didn't know my son was a vigilante, or the fact my husband was a mad scientist." Giving him a real look. "I can't change the past, but I can do better. Not to mention I need to get out of the house. You guys may be keeping me safe, but it's kind of boring to stay in all day. So today we're spying." Saying the last part with a bit of excitement. All Might gave her a blank look. "You know, I can see where Izuku gets it from. Tilde oh tilde." Izuku can safely say he was actually enjoying himself. For a while he thought when he blurted out to Ochako about getting each other's phone numbers, that it might have turned into a mistake. But Ochako has been really chill. She hasn't annoyed him with questions like everyone else, and she's been nice. The only problem right now was the odd looks everyone around them were making. He could tell that all around the cafe they were looking at them, or to be more specific, at him. "Are they all really looking at us?" asked Ochako as she noticed it. Izuku sighed. "Yeah, sorry about that. I still can't believe the amount of attention I'm getting. It must be rough having a celebrity status," said Ochako as she drank her coffee. "Yeah, to be honest, I never thought I would get this much attention if people knew I was the vigilante helping everyone out. I thought everyone would be surprised for a minute, and then move on with their lives." "Has it been that bad for you?" she asked. Izuku thought for a moment. "Kind of. I wouldn't say it's the worst that could have happened, but it has been a bit of a pain," said Izuku as he took a sip of his drink. "I'm more surprised that this is the first time you've asked." Ochako stopped for a moment. "Well, it might be a little weird, but for the longest time I wanted to become a popular hero, and have big interviews and all of that. But when the reporters kept saying you wouldn't comment or give interviews, I remembered my parents saying how it must be a hassle for you, and I didn't want to add to that. Though to be honest, I have questions, but I'll wait until you want to tell me." She finished with one of the sweetest smiles Izuku had ever seen. Izuku couldn't help but feel grateful for having Ochako as a friend. "Ochako, you are a fantastic person. You know that." Ochako blushed at the compliment. "Ah, thanks, Izuku." Izuku thought he should let her ask a question if she wanted to. But then he heard a small squeak. Izuku and Ochako looked up to see a raccoon eating sushi. "Ryoichi, what are you doing here?" "That raccoon is eating sushi," said Ochako, staging at the raccoon wide-eyed. For a moment Izuku thought her eyeballs would pop out. "Wait, you named him Ryoichi?" "No, that's the name he gave himself." "I got a few questions." "That's fair," said Izuku. "Hey Ryoichi, what are you doing?" he asked the raccoon who was sitting above them. The raccoon then pointed to the window, and for a quick moment Izuku saw what Ryoichi was pointing at. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." Ochako followed where he was looking, and saw a woman and a big man outside talking. "Who are they?" "My mom and an idiot." Izuku stood up. "Let's go say hi." Tilde oh tilde. Okay, just one more second, and then we'll head back," said Inko as All Might tried to convince her to go back to the apartment. She looked back into the cafe and saw the two kids were gone. "Hey, where'd they go?" All Might looked. "Huh. They were there a minute ago." "What are you two doing?" said Izuku right behind them with Ochako standing right next to him. "Izuku," said Inko as her mind began to race. She began to think of excuses to explain why she was here. All Might saw this and sighed. "Greetings, young Midoriya, and hello to you, young lady." "Hello," said Ochako as she bowed. "Nice to meet you." Ochako trailed off as she got a good look at the man. Her eyes then went wide as she recognized the number one hero. You're... Izuku put a hand on her shoulder. "Yeah, that's him. But if you could please keep it quiet, so we don't have to deal with a fan mob." Izuku then turned back to his mom. "So why are you here? You weren't following us, were you?" "No, we just happened to see you guys while we were..." Inko just had an idea. "While we were on our date." As she grabbed All Might's arm. All Might nodded. "Right, wait, what?" As All Might's eyes opened wide, someone could have mistaken him for having a weird eye quirk. He turned to see Inko smiling, and then turned to see Ochako's eyes were also wide and Izuku. Well, Izuku looked like he'd seen better days. "Anyway, sorry for taking some of your time. We'll be going now," said Inko as she pulled All Might's arm. He was in too much shock to think, and just went with it. "See you at home, Izuku." Ochako watched the two leave before turning to Izuku. "Your mom is dating All Might." Izuku didn't respond. "Izuku." She looked to see his face was frozen, and wasn't even moving. She couldn't even tell if he was breathing. "Izuku? Has stopped working." Tilda. "I'm so sorry," said Inko, bowing several times at All Might. "I don't know what happened. I just panicked and said the first thing that came to mind." All Might put his hands up. No, it's fine, it just caught me off guard is all. I really didn't see that one coming." "Yeah, neither did I," said Inko, finally taking a breath. "Sorry, I hope your wife won't mind or anything." "Wife?" All Might raised an eyebrow. I'm not married. I don't even have a girlfriend." "What?" said Inko in shock. "But you're the number one hero. You're loved by everyone. How do you not have a girlfriend?" All Might scratched his cheek a bit as he began to get a little embarrassed. "Well, being the number one hero takes a lot of time, and having a relationship as well has proven difficult." All Might felt a bit of regret as he thought it was too late for such a thing. "To be honest, I haven't been on a date in over a decade." Inko smiled. "Hey, come on," she said as she grabbed his arm. "I dragged you out here, so how about I pay you back with dinner? What do you say?" All Might was a little surprised by this. Why not? I could go for a good meal." As they walked off to get some food. Maybe it isn't too late after all. The next week went by fast, so did the relationship of All Might and Inko Midoriya. Izuku was trying not to think about it too much, because it kind of was weird. 1, his mom was dating again, and 2, she was dating his childhood hero. A hero he still looked up to, the number one hero. 3, he didn't know how long it was going to last, especially with All Might's secret identity. Part of him wondered if he should tell his mother about it, cause he didn't want her feeling betrayed, not only by him not telling her such a big secret, when they told each other no more lies, or when she finds out All Might ain't always so buff. Izuku was in his room doing his usual routine of cleaning Tanku, and making sure he was in the best condition possible, when suddenly the door to his room was practically busted open. By the time Izuku turned around, he had his launcher in hand and Tanku loaded, but didn't fire as he saw who it was. All Might, as he saw the hero in his skinny form. "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be on a date with my mom?" Toshinori ran up to Izuku. "Yes, and you told her about my true form and my quirk." As he began shaking Izuku. "Why'd you tell her that?" Izuku broke free of his shaking. "What are you talking about? I haven't told her anything." "Then how did she know?" "The computer." They both looked to see Inko standing in the doorway. "When I asked you to see Hisashi's research, because I wanted to know what he did. There was a section on All Might and his fight with that big super villain, remember?" Toshinori looked at Izuku as he blinked, realizing that he gave away those secrets to his mother months ago. "Oh, oops." "Oops," repeated All Might. "Kid, that my secrets you gave away." Izuku looked at All Might. "All Might, I want you to repeat how my mom figured out your secret." "She learned it from the computer that had your father's research." All Might went wide-eyed as he realized the situation. "Villains know my secret. They know I'm weak." "You're just figuring this out now, really?" Izuku sighed as he turned to his computer. "Merci, show All Might the record of the data traffic." "We," said the AI as he brought up the files. "From the data we've collected, the information of your true self hasn't been shared outside of a select few, and the information that is given says that you were slowly recovering, so they don't know that the damage was that severe. In fact, some of the files suggest that you have made a full recovery. All Might looked at the files. So my secret is safe. All Might blew a sigh of relief before he lowered his head. I'm sorry for overreacting like that. I'll see myself out. Inko stepped in his way. Wait, don't leave. It's my fault. I assumed you knew that I knew about you. So it's not your fault. I shouldn't have thrown such a curveball without being more clear. Toshinori began to wave his hands. No, it's my fault. I overreacted and insulted Izuku. The blame's on O. He yelped as Izuku lightly tossed one of his notebooks at All Might's head. There, we're even. Now if you want to apologize to my mom, go and get dessert or something. All Might was about to object. Go or I'll have the raccoon steal your socks. Now go. After that, All Might and Inko's relationship got even better. They started going on more dates, especially since All Might could go out in his skinny form. And now he was coming over each night for dinner. Izuku still found it weird, but it did make his mom happy, and soon Izuku would start at Ua. Izuku stood at the gates of Ua holding Tanku. The first day of my new school year, let's go, Tenku. It didn't take long for Izuku to find his classroom, and it was a lot easier since he heard a familiar exploding voice. This might be a problem. Izuku opened the door to see Bakugo and Ida arguing, because Bakugo had his feet on his desk, though they both stopped as they turned to see Izuku in the doorway. Yep, this is going to be a problem. At that, everyone turned to look at him. Everyone knew who he was, and one of them wanted to see him again. Izuku Midoriya, said Momo as she got out of her desk and walked up to Izuku. I don't know if you remember me, but Momo Yaoyorozu, as Izuku remembered her. I saved your life and ran into you about a year ago. Yes, I didn't think you would remember. It was a crazy day and you're pretty. Made it, said Ochako loudly as she made it to the classroom. Man, this place is big. I almost got lost. Oh hey Izuku. As she went to her friend. How's it going? Pretty good so far, just catching up with Yaoyorozu here. As he gestures to Momo. Momo blushed a little before she looked Ochako up and down. Who is this? Girlfriend? No, but she is close with Izuku, and she is cute. Ochako was doing the same thing as well. This girl could be a supermodel. I could see her in a commercial with a celebrity. Just calm down and relax. Ochako took a deep breath. Hi, I'm Ochako Uraraka. Momo smiled. I'm Momo Yaoyorozu. Pleasure to meet you. Whoa, things are getting good, said Mina as she saw the sparks. What do you mean? Asked Kirishima. I hope things don't get so crazy, and they start a fight, said Gyro. What? Said Denki. Why would they fight? They look like they're getting along just fine. Mina waved at them to sit down. You boys don't worry about it. Just let us girls handle it. Hold it, yelled Ada. As heroes in training, we should not be entertaining this at all. The class was silent and confused by the statement. Entertain what? Asked Cyril. This, as he pointed at Izuku. Izuku saw this coming and was just bored of it. We have a known vigilante here, someone who has broken the law for years, and we're supposed to just allow him to come to a prestigious hero school like Ua. How are any of you okay to have this criminal in our school? Momo stepped up to Ida. That criminal saved my life and my family when a group of real villains attacked my home. I would be dead if it wasn't for him. Yeah, said Ochako. Unlike you, he came and saved me before that giant robot squished me. He ran. He didn't. That was an exam robot, stated Ida. There's no way a school like UA would have let anything happen to you. Second of all. Enough, said a man standing at the door. All of you quiet down and sit down. I'm your homeroom teacher, Aizawa. Now I want all of you to settle down. The class went silent. Good, now put on your P uniforms and meet me on the field. Pointing to the uniform on the teacher's desk. Straight to the point, said Izuku, grabbing the uniform on the desk. I can work with that. Tilde. Soon all of the students of class 1 were outside in their P uniforms, standing on the training grounds. All right, time to put your quirks to the test, said Aizawa as he tossed a ball to Izuku. You got the highest score on the entrance exam. Throw the ball as far as you can. You may also use your equipment as long as you stay in the circle. Izuku wordlessly stepped into the circle. All right, Tanku, let's put on a show. As he dropped his bay. By the time the bay hit the ground, it began to spin at full speed. Izuku then tossed the ball straight upward. He then bent down before jumping high in the air and twisting in the air. His bay also hopped in the air right next to him, going a little bit higher than him. Izuku then backflipped, bicycle kicking Tanku, launching the bay right at the ball. Tanku hit the ball with enough force to send it flying. Everyone watched the ball hit Yua's fence. Whoa, awesome. So that's the power of the top, huh? Aizawa saw this and put up his phone. 1152 meters, not bad. For years your teachers have told you not to use your quirks in the hopes you are all treated fairly. But that will not help you as heroes here. Today we will be putting your quirks to the test. The class was getting excited about being able to use their quirks until one girl spoke. Wow, this sounds fun. Fun, you say? You probably all see hero work as fun. Well then, the person with the lowest score today will be expelled from UA. At this, there was a massive uproar from the students. This not only got Aizawa annoyed, but also Izuku. Shut up, yelled Izuku, surprising Aizawa and silencing the class. 1. Here at UA teachers have more flexibility than other schools. 2. We are trying to become heroes, and being a hero takes a lot of work, and it's not all about fame and fortune. So if you're not willing to put in the work, then get out and give room for someone who will. Everyone let Izuku's words sink in, and most of them steeled themselves for the trials ahead. While others were questioning themselves, 2 on the other hand were getting angry. Bakugo for feeling Izuku was talking down to him. And, how would you know? Ida, don't pretend to be some hero. You've done nothing but undermine the work of a hero with your vigilantism, and your countless times you've broken the law. Honestly, do you hear yourself? You sound downright hypocritical. You should. Enough, said Aizawa, ending Ida's rant. We don't have all day, so let's get started with the tests. Soon the tests were underway. Everyone was giving it their best, as the fear of being expelled made them work even harder. Though some weren't worried at all, as they knew their skills were above the others. Izuku was one of those students, as even though he didn't use Tanku in every test, his physical skills were enough to where he was confident that he would do just fine. Though as the other students were doing the ball test, Class 1 had a visitor. A furry one. Everyone was in the middle of the ball throw test when Gyro with her hearing heard a squeak close by. Hello, Raccoon? After saying that, the other students also noticed a raccoon holding a piece of paper in its paws and standing not too far away from the group. Ochako lit up at the sight of the raccoon. After hanging around Izuku, he met several of the raccoons. Though when she stepped forward, Gyro stopped her. Hey, what are you doing? You can't just walk up to a wild animal. But that's not. Ochako was going to say she knew the raccoon, but another student decided to step forward. Don't worry, ladies, said Mainta as he stepped forward. I'll protect you. As he gave them a cocky grin. With this, they will all see my hero side and love me. This is the start of my harem. The girls just sweat dropped at the boy. Even the raccoon made a face that asked if Mainta was serious. The animal raised an eyebrow and looked at Izuku while pointing at Mainta. I have no idea, I just started here today, said Izuku as he walked up to the furry animal. What you got there anyway? The raccoon handed over the paper. Izuku took the paper and unfolded it. Interesting. What is it? Asked Ochako as she tried to look at the letter. What characters are those? Is that Manchurian? Asked Momo, looking over Izuku's other shoulder. Yep, looks like a friend of mine is in town from China. He looked at the raccoon's outstretched hands. Sorry, I got nothing on me, but I'll get you something special later. The raccoon then made some hand gestures. Corn dog, you got it. Izuku then put the letter in his pocket. He then saw the whole class looking at him. What? Dude, you just had a conversation with a raccoon, said Kirishima, still wide-eyed with the others, except for Ochako, who at the moment was scratching the raccoon behind the ears, and the raccoon was loving it. Yeah, they've helped out a lot. They're pretty awesome, said Izuku, completely serious as he knew firsthand how useful his furry friends were. And they're adorable, added Ochako, who was still scratching the coon. Mainta couldn't believe this. You use those stupid things. The raccoon turned to Mainta, not enjoying the scratches anymore. You use a bunch of rodents that swim around in the trash. He then started laughing. That's so lame. The great vigilante has to rely on a bunch of stupid squirrels. Izuku saw this and slowly backed away. I was going to warn you, but you went too far. Everyone back up. Mainta stopped laughing. Huh? Ochako began to pale as she saw it. Momo followed her sight and dropped her jaw. Izuku tugged her sleeve to move her back. 1. I consider them friends, not pets. 2. They've helped me more times than I can count. 3. I'm not responsible if you piss them off. You reap what you sow. The class just stared at Izuku in confusion, until Aizawa looked behind them. What the hell? The class then turned around to see a horde of raccoons. Ooh, Midoriya. The class began to move away from Mainta as the boy began to sweat. You screwed up, said Izuku, getting Mainta's attention. If there's one rule about these guys is never ever call them squirrels. Mainta turned back to the horde. I'm not afraid of a bunch of coons. The biggest raccoon, which was double the other size, stepped forward. He reached behind his back and somehow pulled out a full-sized baseball bat. Mainta's eyes doubled in size before looking at Izuku. Izuku saw this. Okay, I'll do something. Hey Slag, don't kill him. The raccoon known as Slag looked at Izuku and nodded. Good luck. As he gave Maita a thumbs up. How is that helping? Before running off as the raccoons began to chase him around the school. Don't worry, he'll be fine. Okay, I got questions for starters. Why did you call him Slag? Asked Zero. That's his name. Wait, said Toru. You've named them all of them. Oh no, they named themselves. I thought it was kind of rude to work with them and not know their names, and just giving them numbers didn't feel right. So I asked if they had names. They were confused for a moment before they each brought me a scrap of paper with a name on them. Some of them were foreign names. They're a lot smarter than you think. Aizawa gave Izuku a tired look. Great. A problem child with a bunch of raccoon friends. Sigh. Alright, let's get back to the tests. Tilde oh tilde. They soon got done with the test with Izuku getting first place, shocking everyone with his athletic ability. He didn't care though. With all the training he had, he knew he would pass. Not to mention Merci had checked on the teachers beforehand and had already figured out Eraserhead's tactics. He enjoyed watching everyone's face when he heard that the whole expulsion trick was aroused to get everyone to work hard. It made Mainta very happy, especially since he came in last place. Soon the day ended and everyone was about to head home. Some of the girls were talking and exchanging numbers in the classroom. Wow, today was crazy, and it's just the first day, stated Mina. Tsuyu agreed. I know, it makes me wonder what else they have in store for us. Well, at least we're not alone, said Ochako. We have Izuku, and I think he can handle everything. Yes, said Momo as she grabbed her things. By the way, how do you know Izuku? For a moment Ochako and Momo's eyes locked. Really, you guys are starting this already, said Gyro. Both Ochako and Momo were caught off guard. Yeah, I mean, he's not the only big shot here, said Toru. Take a look over there, as she pointed her sleeve at Todoroki, who was walking out. He was one of the students who came in on recommendation. I also hear he's the son of the number 2 hero Endeavor. Wait, seriously? Asked Gyro. Yeah, he is pretty cute, said Mina. But he does have that scar. One moment, said Toru as she took out her phone. Just flip one half on to the other half and tada. As she showed them a photoshopped photo of Shoto, which copied his non-scared side and flipped it over his scared side. It showed him with white hair and no scar on his face. All the girls took a look at the photo and had to admit he still looked good without the scar. But this made Gyro ask a question. Hey Toru, when did you take the photo? Toru began to fidget a little out of embarrassment. Oh well, you see. She didn't finish as she felt a hand on her shoulder. Izuku. He wasn't looking at her at all. That photo. Toru showed him the picture. Oh, I was just messing around with Photoshop is all. Izuku stared at the photo, as if he had seen it before. Is everything all right? Izuku saw that the girls were looking at him. Yeah, hey Ochako, he said, getting the girls' attention. My mom just wanted me to make sure you got those recipes. Oh yeah, I got them this morning, she said with a smile. Momo looked at Ochako wide-eyed. She already knows his parents. Cool, then. Izuku then saw something was happening outside near the gate. Wait, what the heck is going on outside? Tilde oh tilde. Man, today was brutal, said Denki. You have no right to speak, said Maita, who was dead tired. I was the one being chased by a horde of vicious raccoons. Dude, chill. You were the one to piss them off, Zero pointed out. And they didn't really hurt you. They mostly just scared you. Hey, how was I? Maita stopped as he saw something that made him forget all of his pain. His eyes almost burst out of his sockets as his nose began to bleed. The guys followed his eyesight and saw a goddess. A total babe. The babe in question was a Chinese woman wearing a Chinese dress which accentuated her features. She was currently sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed, meditating right outside the UA gates. Soon she began to attract more of a crowd as several students saw her, making the boys drool and the girls envious. Perfect long black hair, killer boobs, slim waist and legs for days, said Maita as he drooled some more. Who is that woman? Asked Kosai, a student from class 1B, when he saw one of his classmates do a quiet facepalm. It was the Chinese exchange student. Hey, do you know her? Really? Those who heard this turned to see Izuku walking up. He sighed before reaching down for a rock. Everyone was confused for a moment. Izuku then threw the rock and his target was the woman's head. For a moment every thought the rock would hit her hard. But her hand moved like lightning, catching the rock inches from her head. The woman opened one eye and smiled. Nice throw. In one fluid movement she stood up, put one hand over her fist and bowed. It's good to see you again, Izuku. Izuku bowed back. It's good to see you to Mayay. He knows her, thought everyone in the crowd. While Minda began to cry blood. He knows too many hotties. It's not fair. Mayay, shouted a voice. Everyone turned to see Kendo with her mouth wide open. You're Mayay, the women's Chinese martial art tournament winner. 5 years in a row. That Mayay. Mayay blushed a little. Oh wow, I didn't think anyone here would recognize me. Is that why there's a crowd? No, said Izuku simply, as he knew the kind of attention Mayay would attract. I've heard of you, said Ojiro as he remembered. You're from that temple, the one that refused for years to participate in any competitions until 20 years ago. And ever since then you guys have been sweeping the competition. Oh, so some of you do know about my temple, said Mayay, happy for her and her friends to be recognized. That's good to hear. Wait, Izuku. Are you a student of Mayay's temple? Asked Kendo. Somewhat. Izuku was never a proper student of the Balan temple, but he did learn from the masters there. Kendo looked at Izuku in awe. I had no idea we had someone here like that. Actually, you have two here, said Mayay. This caught Izuku by surprise. Wait, who else? Izuku instincts flared. He tossed his bag to Kendo as he turned around and put up his hands in time to block a powerful axe kick. Rin. The Chinese boy grinned. Sup, Izuku? As he kicked off of Izuku's arm, jumping back. Since when have you been here? Asked Izuku, surprised that he was here. Mayay raised an eyebrow. Wait, did you not know he was here? Sorry, something came up, and I didn't have time to track you down. Explained Rin. I'm a transfer student here at UA. You're one of the transfer students. Izuku was still a little surprised. He is, said Mayay as she stepped forward. And I came here to speak with the both of you. She then looked around to see there was still a bit of a crowd. Somewhere a little less crowded. Of course, said Izuku as he held out his hand for Kendo to hand him his bag back. But she didn't move. Kendo, can I have my bag back? Kendo didn't move for a moment as she was lost in thought. Can I please have a fight with you? Yelled Kendo to Mayay, surprising the woman. I would love to test my skill against a master such as yourself. So will you please do me the honor of having a sparring match with me? Mayay stared at Kendo, looking into her eyes. Mayay thought for a moment. Hey Izuku, is there a space around here we can use? Izuku thought for a moment. Yeah, I think the beach should be clear today. Will that work? Perfect, come on. Tilda, oh Tilda. All right, are you two ready? Said Mayay as she stood in between Kendo and Izuku. When they made it to the beach, Mayay said she came here to make sure Izuku was still in top shape. So she decided the best way would be to make him spar Kendo. Izuku and Kendo both nodded. Begin. Both Izuku and Kendo charged at each other. Kendo threw the first punch, but it didn't land as Izuku dodged and went for a low kick. Kendo backed away from the kick, but Izuku kept up the pressure as he aimed a few punches at Kendo's stomach. Kendo used her big fist to block the blows. His fighting style is strange. He's sticking low to the ground. Though Kendo was surprised when Izuku jumped for a high kick, which hit Kendo in the shoulder before twisting for another kick. Now high movements. Mayay was pleased with what she was seeing. He has kept up with his training, and that girl isn't too bad. She might be able to keep up with our training. Mayay didn't take her eyes off of the fight. If you want to, you can come down and watch. Rin looked at Mayay. Mayay-sensei, what are you? He then heard footsteps from behind them. Huh? Sorry, I was curious, said Ojiro as he walked towards them. It's all right. This is a good fight, said Mayay, who was still watching the fight. Ojiro was now watching the fight as Kendo used standard karate and similar martial arts, while Izuku used a strange fighting style that he was unfamiliar with. Is that your temple's fighting style? No, that's his own fighting style he developed, clarified Mayay. His style is based on speed and mobility, mainly striking from above or below. He developed it so that he could fight while keeping up with his bay. Though when he needs to, he will switch fighting styles if he needs to hold his ground. Which is a lot easier than you might think since his style is based off of the crouching dragon. So switching to the basic dragon style is pretty natural, though we like to call his style the tanuki form. I wouldn't recommend learning it, though, as it requires very odd movements, not typically found in normal kung fu. Ojiro agreed with her words as he saw Izuku fight. Izuku jumped and kicked, and when Kendo would block, he would land in a handstand and spin for another kick. Kendo would try attacking again, only for Izuku to redirect the attack and intrude into her space. It's like capoeira and silat mixed together with a hint of karate and kung fu. Mayay side-eyed Ojiro. Impressive, you know your stuff. You study martial arts as well, right? Asked Rin. Yeah, but I don't think I hold a candle to either of them. Kendo is amazing, but Izuku has been toying with her this entire time, said Ojiro, as it was clear that Izuku was controlling this match. Mayay hummed for a moment. I wouldn't call it toying, but yes, Izuku is the superior fighter between the two. Kendo didn't hear any of this, as she was more focused on the fight she was having. But she could tell she was on the losing end, and he wasn't even going all out. He isn't going all out, and yet it doesn't feel like he's underestimating me or toying with me, and he is focusing on the fight. He actually might be enjoying the fight. Okay, then time to go all out, she thought as she enlarged her fists. Grand slam, as she slammed both of her fists down at Izuku. With the timing, it should have hit Izuku. But he smirked before charging, planting his right elbow into her gut before she could bring her fists down. The hit sent Kendo to the ground. Damn it. You're good, said Izuku as he extended a hand for her. She took it. You got some real talent, though you should work on stance changes, and for opponents that move a lot. Clearly you fought a lot of people in a dojo, but haven't faced many outside where there aren't any rules. Kendo blushed at the compliment, and took the advice to heart. She made sure to write it all down when she could. Thanks, but you're even more amazing than I thought. When you saved me all those years ago, I thought that you were a distance fighter, but clearly you can hold your own in a fight. I still have a long ways to go until I'm able to give you a good challenge. You shouldn't sell yourself short, said Mayay. You did well, and I can see great potential. You will make a fantastic hero and a great martial artist. Izuku nodded in agreement. Yeah, and you gave me one hell of a workout. Kendo glowed at the compliments. So then will you be able to teach me? I've heard nothing but great things from your temple, and I would love to learn it. Mayay thought for a moment. Well, I don't think I'll be staying in Japan that long, but while I'm here I am more than happy to teach you a little. Kendo smiled from ear to ear, and Ojiro was hoping he could get some lessons as well. Can I join you as well? I may not be as skilled as Kendo, but I still would like to learn. Rin cracked his knuckles. Oh, don't worry, your test starts now. Mayay stopped him. As much as I would love to see another fight, we are running low on time. So I'll give you another test. Mayay took a few steps back. It's simple. Block. Block, said Ojiro as he raised an eyebrow. Izuku and Rin knew exactly what was going and ducked for cover, while Izuku grabbed a confused Kendo. Ojiro then realized they were getting out of the way and got into a fighting stance as he got ready for whatever Mayay was going to throw at him. Mayay didn't get into a fighting stance. She stayed standing relaxed, not doing anything until her right leg disappeared. Ojiro's instincts kicked, and he moved his tail in front of him as he felt a massive wall of force hit him. He tried to hold his ground, but the wall forced him back several feet, and for a moment he thought he was going to be knocked to the ground, but luckily for him the force dissipated. Ojiro then slowly lowered his tail and saw Mayay with her right leg raised. She did that with a kick. She's strong. Whoa, was all Kendo could say at the sight of the kick. He actually withstood the kick, said Rin, as someone who had been training with Mayay for years knew that was a feat in itself. He may have some potential after all. Izuku nodded in agreement. Indeed. Well done, said Mayay as she lowered her leg and took out her phone. All right then, if you and Kendo want to take some extra lessons, I won't mind teaching you guys a thing or two. Really? Yelped Kendo. Yes, please. They quickly exchanged contact information. That's when Mayay said that she needed to be somewhere with Izuku and Rin. Hey, wait a moment, said Kendo. Izuku, can we fight again someday? Izuku gave her a grin. Of course, just give me time, and if I can, I'll be up for a spar. Kendo's face turned slightly red. You bet, and I'll give a good fight next time. Ojiro saw this and turned to Rin. Hey, how does he do it? I have no idea. Trust me, a lot of us have tried to figure it out, but we've come up with nothing, said Rin. Soon afterwards, both Ojiro and Kendo left, leaving Izuku, Rin, and Mayay. Tyson was currently sitting in his family's dojo cleaning his family's blades. Even Tyson would admit he is not a master of the sword like other people, but he would make sure that his family's heirlooms were kept in good condition. He then heard the doors open. Oh, why, welcome back, little miss. Oh, Izuku too, I see, and I don't believe I've met you, young man. My name is Huryu Rin. I'm from the Bailin Temple, sir, and it's an honor to meet you. As he shook Tyson's hand. I've heard so much about you, Mr. Granger. Tyson laughed. Well, it's nice to meet you, young man, and please call me Tyson. Mayay raised an eyebrow at this. Rin, is this the first time you've met Tyson? Rin visible stiffened at this. Rin, you said when you would get to Japan you would contact Mr. Tyson first. He is one of the few people who knows the temple and the closest one to the school. Rin looked down at the ground like a child trying to avoid their parents' gaze. I just got busy moving to a new country, sorry. Mayay saw the way Rin was acting and knew what this was about. Rin, as she said the boy's name quietly. Izuku didn't like being in the dark. Okay, can someone please tell me what is going on here? Why is Mayay here, and what does that have to do with me and old man Tyson? Mayay will be staying here in one of the guest rooms, said Tyson. She's here to help with Rin's Beyblade training. Beyblade training, said Izuku shocked. Rin has a Beyblade now. Mayay shook her head slightly. He's been chosen to inherit. No, yelled Rin. Rin was now shaking where he was standing. He looked on the verge of crying. He can still use it. Everyone was silent for a moment. Mayay stepped towards Rin. His arm is almost useless now. He can still launch his bay. They've made single-handed launchers before, argued Rin. He stopped waiting for someone to say something else, but Mayay knew it would be better to let this out of his system. Look, I'm not trying to brush off my responsibilities. I'm still going to be a great hero, even if I don't have a bay. He needs it more than I do. I'm not saying you're trying to get rid of your responsibilities. You're afraid. This caught Rin off guard. You're afraid that you won't be able to fill the massive shoes he's left you. But none of us are asking you to take his place. That would be impossible. All we're asking you to do is take care of his bay. You're the only other person that can use it. But it's not mine, said Rin as he looked down at his feet. I can't. Yes, you can. He and everyone back at the temple know you can, and the bay has chosen you to be its new user. There's no one else in the temple who can do it, only you. Rin was still silent. You're not alone. Me, Izuku, and Tyson are here to help. Still, Rin didn't respond as he was too lost in thought. Mayay sighed as she reached to the back of her belt. When I leave back to China, I won't be taking this with me. She then held up a Beyblade in her hand. Izuku recognizes the bay. That's Roxarafa, Dashin's bay. Izuku then remembered the martial artist Blader, the now head of the Bailin Temple. Izuku remembered the monster of a fighter he was. But that just brought a big question. What happened to Dashin? Nothing, said Rin, who was quick to reply. He still is the Grandmaster, and still has many years left in him. Rin, shouted Mayay. Dashin will be the Grandmaster of the Bailin Temple for years to come. But that has nothing to do with Roxarafa. Roxarafa has only reacted to you and Dashin. And right now it can do more in your hands than it can in Dashin's right now. Please, Rin. You're the only person who can use it. Rin looked down at Zarafa and was quiet. I'm not worthy. For a moment no one said anything. Izuku felt too out of it to say anything proper, and Mayay was getting to her wits' end. Tyson had another idea. Whack, oh, yelled Rin after Tyson hit him with a bamboo sword. What was that for? Tyson decided to keep whacking him, though each whack was weaker. Will you quit your downing? Honestly, what are trying to be, the unworthy hero? Come on, kid. I know you ain't down with a guy you look up to retiring or becoming broken. Tyson saw Mayay's look. Not saying he is, but you're doing him more of a disservice denying him his wish, and his wish is that you man up and take the bay for a spin. Look, I get you don't feel like you're ready, then get ready for it. You might not be able to spin it like your homeboy Dashin today, but with some help and a lot of training you can make it there. Rin thought over Tyson's words. Okay, I'll take Roxarafa. Mayay smiled as she saw progress. Nope, said Tyson. Mayay looked at Tyson like he was crazy. What? Tyson started laughing. You ain't there yet, kid. When you spin Roxarafa, I want you to spin as well as you know how to fight. So you ain't taking it out of this dojo until then, or unless I say otherwise. You and Izuku will be fighting. So that's why I'm here, said Izuku. Tyson nodded. Okay, so we do this like every day. After school or something, right? Okay, said Rin. I'll come here right after school tomorrow. Tyson slapped his training sword on the ground. What are you talking about? Starting now. Huh? Said the three others. You heard me. In agreement with your temple, I get to help with training, and we are starting now. Welcome my dudes to boot camp, said Tyson as a blue aura surrounded him. You're going to be begging for US training when I'm done with you. Rin was now sweating as heard legends of Tyson Granger, but he also heard that he was laid back, and not some sort of drill sergeant. Rin looked over to see Izuku was slightly sweating as well. Should I be worried? Very, said Izuku as he grew a nervous grin. He's trained me before, and it was a bit more intense than what Max had for me, but he's a lot more intense now. Tyson grinned as the Dragoon let his power expand. That's because you're older now and it's time to take the kid's gloves off. Rin turned to Izuku again. Izuku gulped. Just to remind you, Rin, this is one of the very few people that have beaten Rugga. Rin almost shit himself at that piece of news. He beat the Dragon Emperor. Mayay saw the two and chuckled. They may be a cut above the rest, but they still have a long way to go. She then cracked her knuckles. Well, let's get started.